Charlie informed people at Turning Point, as well as Jewish donors and a rabbi, that he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause outright. He wanted to bring me, Candace Owens, back because he was standing up for himself. And then did he, just 48 hours later, conveniently catch a bullet to the throat before our on-stage reunion could happen. Whether or not Charlie's assassination was meant to distract us from the Brigitte Macron investigation. And rightfully so. That is a fair question. Because as you guys know, it was Charlie Kirk that called me and told me that they wanted me to stop speaking about Brigitte. What the hell was Charlie Kirk doing in Korea? If I had to today give you my best guess as to why Charlie Kirk was assassinated, it's because an offer came to him to become the next moon. And you just turn the other way. Don't ask questions about where the money's coming from or how you're getting the money. Just keep things afloat. Because, you know, why not? If Moon could help the CIA traffic in the name of the Lord, why couldn't Charlie Kirk's organization do that? I think this is what Charlie Kirk turned down. And the one person who stood between America's involvement with a full-scale war in Iran was Charlie Kirk, 31-year-old. He's the person that's stopping us from getting what we want. It is my personal belief that that is the very reason that they colluded to have that obstacle eventually removed. Was Charlie Kirk murdered by the state, the deep state, to protect Epstein's global trafficking network? Is it fair to ask if it's plausible that when Charlie was taken to the Hamptons, the phone call no one wants to address from Bibi Netanyahu, is it fair to ask the question if it was literally supposed to be me who was supposed to be back on tour with Charlie? Did he say no to killing Candace Owens? And then did he become a liability because he said no?
Hi guys, how you doing? Thanks for joining me. This is my third live stream for the MilkBarTV live. So let me know if there's any issues, if you're struggling to hear me or anything like that. But otherwise, looking forward to this one. I'll bring on the guest soon, LisaKnows. But the past two streams we've been very Andrew Tate heavy, just because of his recent arrest in America. There's a lot going on, and then just with my own experience with Andrew Tate, as I'm sure most of you will be aware that Andrew Tate is in fact suing me for defamation. So that's been going on for a bit over a year now. So I want to just quickly put a spotlight on our crowdfund. Give me 1 second. Make sure this is coming up. But yeah, so we've got this crowdfund going on here. So very good to see so many people contributing to that. So we've got the goal of $70,000. So we're about $7,000 roughly shy of that. And we've got our hearing coming up on September 18th, which is good. We've been waiting for a while to get that hearing date. So thankfully we've got that. And hopefully we can get this frivolous defamation lawsuit thrown out for good. So I've got the link to the fundraiser for that pinned in the comments below, for YouTube anyway. But otherwise, you can scroll my timeline. You should be able to find the link on the other platforms. But yeah, thank you everyone who's contributed to that. Thank you everyone for all the support. We couldn't do it without you. And I'll do another stream covering what's going on with the Tate brothers and everything in America and the extradition process. And I'll probably have Crayon Murders on again and Gadget. And that'll be good. I'll do that stream just dedicated to covering the Tates and what's going on there. And if people want to do super chats or anything like that, I'll put all of that money to the fundraiser. Anyway, so I'll get back to you when I'll be doing that, maybe it'll be later this week or next week. But I think I'll do that as a separate stream. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going this week at this time. It seems to work out well, and I'll be covering the different topics. I think a lot of people get Andrew Tate fatigue, which, trust me, I totally understand after covering him for a few years. It's pretty dark. A lot of the stuff. It can be pretty full on, so I understand that. And there's other topics as well to cover. But while we're on that, on the Andrew Tate, I wrote an article for Daily Wire that was published last week, and that was on how the media, particularly alternative media, I believe, ran cover for Andrew Tate, and I think in many ways it shows just how a lot of the flaws and just how I think rotten a lot of alternative media is from what was promised. The idea of what it was meant to be alternative to with mainstream media, I think it's fallen into all the same traps, and in many ways is actually far worse than the mainstream media in general anyway. So you can go to Daily Wire and you should be able to find that. Even search Nathan Livingston, that'll come up. I did a post recently on how meaningful this was, because the whole reason I started covering Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson was because of my coverage with Andrew Tate. That's how I got into those figures, and particularly with Candace Owens, I was covering her and how I believe that she was running cover and actively lying on behalf of Andrew Tate, her husband's longtime friend. And she was doing that while she was at the Daily Wire. So she was subsequently fired, and Jeremy Boring, the CEO of the time, he actually cited her activities defending Andrew Tate as one of the factors for her being fired. Anyway, so yeah, it was nice to kind of come full circle and actually have an article published on the Daily Wire about Candace Owens and her despicable behavior defending the Andrew Tates while she was there at the Daily Wire 3 years ago. That leads nicely into our subject today and our guest, which is covering the Charlie Kirk conspiracy theories, which I think has been largely spearheaded by Candace Owens. So I'm going to bring up our guest now, LisaKnows, and
Hello.
Thanks for joining me, Lisa.
Hello.
I wanted to. I'm keen to chat with. I'm keen to chat with you because. I'll tell you what. I've been covering Candace Owens for a bit over 3 years now, and they're interspersed. There's been other people who've been doing great work covering her. Tree of Logic is a really good account. Who was covering her like way back when she first came out as a conservative.
Mm-hmm.
But at times it was a little bit lonely. At times there weren't that many people, so it's good to see more and more people are on top of just all of this rubbish that she's spewing out and debunking her, because I mean she really does just flood the zone with so much just complete garbage that it's impossible for a single person to actually cover all of it. So there's so many great people now doing really like genuinely investigative work to actually debunk a lot of this stuff, and you're one of the people who've been doing that. But I also think you've been on the front line engaging with a lot of her cult members, and just showing how absolutely unhinged they are. So whether you've been doing that with showing the TikToks or you've actually been debating them as well, I thought it'd be good just to cover a lot of this conspiracy rubbish that's going on more recently and in general, but also just cover just her fanatics and how unhinged they are. So maybe we can start with if you just want to give a brief introduction to who you are and how you first came to be making content covering this topic and covering Candace Owens.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been online making content on TikTok for several years now. I think I got on the platform in like 2021. Um, and that was pretty much my pro-life activism. So I was very active in the pro-life movement for 12 years, doing a lot of like debunking type stuff of like pro-choice talking points, just because it's really easy to look up like what's real and what's not. Like research is just like, I tell people Google's free all the time because granted it's not perfect, but for stuff like this, like it's just very straightforward, very simple things. And so that's kind of where it started. I did a lot of like pro-life versus pro-choice debates on TikTok lives and things like that. And that's kind of where I got involved in that. And then, yeah, I used to like Candace Owens back in the day. She still kind of always rubbed me like a little weird, just the way that she would handle certain things. I was like, that that wasn't very mature, or that wasn't the professional way to handle that. But it was like, okay, whatever. But then she started to get into the anti-Semitism, and then I was like, yeah, nope, I'm good. I don't want nothing to do with that. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. I'm out. But so then I just kind of switched to just like ignoring her because, um, but yeah, then she got into this whole, obviously Charlie Kirk unfortunately was assassinated, and she went right into her insanity. And so I just kind of took my debunking content that I was already doing and just kind of switched from, instead of debunking pro-choicers, I just started debunking the candy cult and just taking their videos and like posting reactions and responses to it, right? And being like, actually, this isn't weird or conspiracy or sus. This is just like normal stuff that people do every day, and here's why. So yeah, that's kind of where it started, and it kind of just blew up from there. But I also really heavily focused on the Erica Kirk part of it. Um, when they really started going in on Erica Kirk and lying about her, and like the crazy outlandish rumors about her that were just ridiculous, and kind of tearing that apart, kind of piece by piece. So I know a lot more about the timeline as far as Erica and all of that.
Are you? I should ask you. This is the first time we're speaking face to face. Are you in any way affiliated with TPUSA? Are there any? You know, you're not on their payroll, or
I get accused of being on their payroll pretty much every day. I said if I had $1 for every time that I'm
yeah,
told that I'm paid by them, or people accusing me of being paid by them, I would be a very rich lady. But no, I'm not on their payroll. I've never worked for Turning Point. I've never even volunteered for Turning Point, even though I do live close to their headquarters, but I've never been associated with Turning Point. I have talked to them a little bit, like after all of this, and like having my platforms kind of, blow up, obviously, and having certain videos go viral and things like that. I've had a little bit of communication with them, but for the most part, nope, it's just me out here doing my content. I decide what I post every day. I decide how I post it, when I want to post it, all of that. And I am not making any money from Turning Point. I'm barely making any money from my social media
yeah,
content. Like,
yeah,
I think I have a video right now that just got like 600,000 views on TikTok, and I think I made like $20 off of it. So,
yeah,
woohoo! Like,
yeah.
it's not much. It's very difficult to make money off of social media. So,
Yeah, I think we can we can maybe talk about that later. I think the figures that I think have turned this Charlie Kirk assassination conspiracy theory into an industry that's
yeah.
actually quite profitable. But yeah, I mean it is funny that it's the same thing. Like Gary from Paramount Tactical.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing where it's basic. I guess it used to be called journalism, where you'd want to know the answer to a question, so you'd go and ask someone with that knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
That's seen as somehow makes you part of the conspiracy. If you DM Andrew Colvert because you actually want to know straight from him, then immediately somehow that makes you associated. But when was it that you, after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, what was the first kind of moments, especially with Candace, where you were like, they're going off the deep end. Like this is some kind of rabbit holes right here that are kind of, that are straining away from reality.
Yeah, I think it goes back. I mean, she started that really quickly. Like, I don't feel like it was very long. I mean, she posted, what was it, September 15th, that I think she made like her first, like, that was like her tribute post to him.
Mm.
And I think everybody was kind of like, okay, well, she did know him. She's grieving. We'll just like let her do her thing. And that was like, that was the last moment that anything was normal. After that, I feel like it was just completely downhill from there. She went right into just absolute, I mean, insanity with, I mean, we showed like that clip that you showed in the beginning with like, he was shot from the front, he was shot from underneath, he was shot from behind. I mean, that started like right away. I feel like at the end of September, she started doing all that. And then we got into, like I said, the Erica Kirk stuff, and that's kind of when I really like jumped into it, because I was like, no, I mean, you literally could see where her audience was like egging her on to like go after Erica.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning you could tell that she kind of really didn't want to go there. She even said that she like really liked her speech that she gave at the memorial. She thought that it was great. She gave them
she said it was
props.
like the most powerful speech
Yeah.
in like
She thought that it
American
was,
history. I mean,
yeah, she thought it was amazing. She thought it was great. You know, she was giving them props and all this stuff. And then literally within, I would say like maybe a week and a half from that, we just had like a complete switch up that happened. And like I said, even in those episodes, you could see where the comments of her audience were literally going after Erica Kirk and like egging her and pushing her in that direction. And so, yeah, it wasn't very long after that she immediately went into that. And we started seeing, oh my gosh, I remember videos about like the rings that Erica wears, because she's always worn like a lot of jewelry. Like if you look back on her Instagram, going all the way back to like 2016, 2017, she's decked out in jewelry. That's just like her personality. She's always been like that. But they were saying that her rings were symbols of like messianic, like Freemason symbols, and like that she's involved in Satanism and all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Erica Kirk stuff, it's so dark, really. Like in many ways, I think it really speaks to just the worst of where we're at with social media. And I felt like, this is the thing. It's just, you're never going to have any public assassination, especially in the spheres of the political realm, where it's not going to just evolve into multiple shooters, the deep state. Like it's just always going to be that. Like the most interesting, entertaining explanation now will always be the one that people are just gravitate towards because just as we'll probably cover throughout this stream, it's the actual reality is far more mundane and less interesting, and just doesn't pull in engagement like this kind of stuff does. I mean, for me it was that it immediately became about Israel, like instantly after Charlie Kirk died.
Instantly, yeah.
And Candace always does this thing. It's this tactic that she's done. I think she's always done it. But she'll do this thing where she'll put out something. So she'll make some kind of claim or accusation, and then the people will respond to it. And then she'll use that response as proof of the claim that she had no evidence to begin with. And then she'll pretend like she never made the claim in the first place. So you saw that with Benjamin Netanyahu, where he came out and said that Charlie Kirk was, a massive supporter of Israel. And then already like instantly the theories were coming out saying that Israel was involved. And so he reacted to that saying like, this is just absolute nonsense. And then you saw Candace and these others saying like, why is he saying that? Why is he immediately denying something? No one said this. And you can immediately track, Ian Carroll, and I'm pretty sure Candace Candace pretty quickly. They were immediately insinuating Israel was involved, and that's the interesting thing with that opening montage with the changing goalpost moves with the theories. I mean, it doesn't stray too far away from Israel, really. But the amazing thing was doing that video last week is that Candace really because I think it was in December that she gave an interview with Piers Morgan, and Piers Morgan was just like, "What's your working theory? Like what do you think actually happened?" And she could not communicate clearly, cohesively, what the actual theory was. And that was 3 months after. And even to this day, it's an amazing thing. And I'm sure you can speak to this, actually engaging with her cult, that you have a large significant audience that watches her. And yet I think every single one of those audience members, or they fall into camps, don't agree on actually what happened on that day. It's all diverging ideas. Can you maybe speak to that idea of, I don't know, what are the working theories? If you were to try and actually like pin it down, what are the different camps that explain that it's not Tyler Robinson as a lone shooter? And then maybe we can kind of get into some of the recent, crazy things that are going around.
I don't, that's just it. I don't think that we can, because every time that I talk to these people, like I said, like I have debated several of them. Whenever I see a TikTok live of someone that's talking about like how Charlie Kirk was killed, like I'll jump on there to talk to them. And that's one of the things I ask them all the time. Like, okay, so, we're at about 10 months of this. So, what are your guys' working theories? Where are you at? Like, what is the final solution here? Like, what's going on? And they can't ever answer you. They'll just straight up be like, "Oh, I don't know. I'm like, you don't know after all of this? Like, you don't even have like a running theory or a working hypothesis, like anything? Like, what are we doing right now?" And they cannot tell you. They cannot tell you from start to finish. And the crazy thing is like, there's multiple Candy Cult members, especially over on TikTok, that like, it's hilarious to watch them make videos where they straight up will tell you. I think there was one girl that I covered recently where she was just sitting in her car and she said the same thing. Like, if I had to sit down and explain this front to back to like somebody had never seen Candace Owens in their life, they've never heard of Charlie Kirk, they've never heard of this scenario, and I had to like reiterate this to like back to them from front to back, I wouldn't be able to do it. But they think it's hilarious. They're laughing about it like it's a good old time, and I'm sitting there going, do you not understand how massively problematic that is, that you could not like state this back to someone? Like, you can't even like cohesively put your thoughts into anything that is consistent or coherent, or you all sound like rambling psychopaths, because that's what this has divulged into, is just complete and utter nonsense. Like, it is so outrageous. I mean, the fact that we have the fact that we have an X post from Benjamin Owens going viral about Charlie Kirk being cannibalized and that Israel ate him. That is where we are, okay? Because they can't determine whether he was buried or cremated. Never mind, they've been told multiple times that he was buried. Tracy Martin literally was at his funeral and said, "I watched him be put in the ground. He was buried. He was embalmed. He was buried." Like, we literally have the video of Erica Kirk that they use against her, of her filming, his lower half in the casket, right? Showing that he was embalmed. He was buried. But they don't like that answer. It doesn't fit their narrative. So now we've gotten into the insanity that Charlie Kirk was cannibalized and eaten by Israel so that they could absorb power from him. Like, it is absolutely insane.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just like, you just throw out the widest net possible, as many just ridiculous things as you possibly can. It doesn't matter how many you get wrong, how many that are proven completely wrong by facts. You just keep moving the goalposts, and then maybe something will come along that will go your way. So maybe then the bullet fragment can't conclusively be connected with a rifle, and then right there it's like, see, right there, see, we got that. We can use that. So forget the fact that, like, these 1,000 other things that we threw out are completely wrong, and we've moved on from that. This is the one thing that then proves that everything else must be wrong, that's factual, and we can use this. I did a post the other day where it was trying to pin down Candace Owens with the rooftop footage that she used. This, which again, I mean, we can talk about that rooftop footage as well. But it's this idea of, okay, there's a man on a roof, but she's saying that it's not Tyler Robinson, and she's saying there's no gun. So her theory is that Tyler Robinson is involved, and she way back claimed that he was part of like an MK Ultra program. Yeah. So she's saying that he was part of an MK Ultra brainwashing program, but he's not the killer, and he was involved, but he wasn't there on the day. And there's decoys, and there's someone on the roof, but they didn't fire the shot. And that it was actually an exploding microphone, and that Lance Twiggs was involved. It's trying to actually like keep track, like what are you saying? Like, what are you? But that's the thing, is like they don't need to make a stance. Like their position isn't to try and make a stance. They just need to disprove as many things from the official narrative. That's their goal. I mean, like Candace Owens now, she's committing to the exploding microphone theory,
which she dismissed in the beginning. And so, I mean, and this is how they always like to say, oh, it's an investigation. We're investigating. I'm like,
it's an ongoing investigation. It's an ongoing investigation,
like,
and that's how it works. Yeah.
What an investigation is, because in order to actually be investigating something, you should be narrowing down the evidence. You should be honing in and focusing in on what it is that you think happened, right? We should be very well narrowed in by now, and have eliminated all of these other things and have a very good, solid conclusion of what happened. The fact that they are so much further away from where they started, I mean, the original goalpost has been shifted so many times. We are, again, this is why I always say that Candace is an agent of chaos. She just comes in to cause utter chaos, confusion, and destruction. And so that's how you know that this is not an investigation. An investigation should narrow the evidence. You are so much farther from where you started. This is the exact opposite of an investigation. This is just absolute insanity at this point.
Yeah, so here's the post that she it's from 2 days ago. And she's saying, will we ever provide a list of which FBI agents were on the ground at UVU within 16 minutes of the explosive going off? That's actually a fascinating admission, given the fact the FBI office is located in Salt Lake City. There is a FBI office. I saw someone post that's actually that is actually close. So that's not suspicious that there were FBI agents there. But yeah, so she's fully committing. It's not gunshot. It's not gunshot slash possibly like exploding mic. She's just saying the explosive going off. This to me shows that she's absolutely committing to this conspiracy that's completely just not placed in reality.
It literally defies science. It is anti-science to believe in the exploding mic. It literally defies physics. Like that, like, and I mean, like the most basic level of physics that we learned in like 5th grade, even. Like, you don't even need to be like high level here to understand that this is literally scientifically impossible. So of all the conspiracies that you're going to hang your hat on, leave it to Candace Owens to hang her hat on the one that is anti-science and physically, scientifically, an impossibility. That is how ignorant we are right now. Like, moronic. It's infuriating, actually.
And this is also important to point out that the defense is not arguing this. there's no like it's not even in the realm of what the defense is attempting to argue. So this is when people need to be prepared for the reality that no matter what the verdict is in the Tyler Robinson trial, if he's found guilty, this isn't going to stop. Like it's not going to go away. It's only going to be confirmation of the conspiracy theory that everyone's involved in it. And this is where it's like what I was saying, where they cast the widest net possible. So they'll say, so that's the thing. People need to be prepared, and I think based on the overwhelming evidence, it's highly likely that Tyler Robinson is going to be found guilty. But this is where people need to be prepared that, and Candace has already said this, that she's going to say that the defense is part of the conspiracy. And she said this over and over, where it's like, why hasn't the defense reached out to me? I have all this information. Meanwhile, the defense literally submitted that they shouldn't have cameras in court, and one of the reasons was because of Candace Owens.
They submitted they submitted
a
motion just a few days ago, another one again, because thanks to Candace and all of her insanity, which is what we've been saying was going to happen, that if they didn't stop this madness, that they were going to continue using this as a reason for why they don't want cameras in the court, right? And sure enough, they filed another motion after she got a hold of that footage and did a bunch of stuff that she shouldn't be doing. And yeah, they literally laid out all of her like crazy conspiracies. And we're basically saying that they're nonsense. They're basically mocking her. They're laughing at her, essentially. And they're just saying that these internet entertainment personalities, media personalities, are, slinging all these crazy conspiracies. And they're now using that as their reason for why to not have cameras in the court, which the irony of all of that is Candace is constantly saying, oh, it's Turning Point and Erica that don't want transparency. They're the ones that don't want anybody to see what's going on. And I'm like, except that it's your antics. It's actually your antics that are going to make it so that nobody can see, because it's actually you that don't want anyone to see, Candace, because then it makes it a lot harder for people to nail you to the wall when you say stupid things and make crazy, ridiculous claims. She wants nothing more than the cameras to be removed. She is the one that does not want transparency because it makes her grift a lot easier. It's a lot more difficult for her to continue doing what she's doing if there are cameras. We literally saw this with the preliminary probable cause hearing, right? I mean, she got utterly annihilated that entire week. She was just getting destroyed online. So going into the actual trial, yeah, she absolutely doesn't want cameras. That benefits no one but her.
Yeah, it actually gave me a lot of hope, that preliminary hearing that week. And I think that was the thing, the Kirk family and Erica, they were pushing for transparency and for cameras to be there, because they knew that the evidence completely just undermines all this just conspiracy slop. That when people actually see it, it falls apart. And it gave me a lot of hope, because we've seen just months and months of people just to be able to throw out just absolute nonsense, unchecked. There's zero accountability, and in fact there's only incentives when it comes from engagement and making money. It was great to see that that the court is the place where there's still the idea, the notion of objective truth, and that's the place to litigate it. And it was nice to see that the people, when they're actually presented with the facts, you're right. I feel like a lot of that conspiracy stuff just kind of dropped away. And
I think that's why Candace tries to avoid the courtroom so much. Like, this is why, like, she's all talk. When it comes to, oh, I want discovery, I want the smoke, I want it, bring it, blah, blah. And then when it comes to fruition and she has to actually pay the piper, she is like trying to shut it down and get things dismissed, exactly like what she's doing with the Macron case. She wants that
Yeah.
to go away. She's
Yeah.
going to try to do whatever. I mean, even if she has to settle behind closed doors, she's going to settle. However, when you settle, you have to sign an NDA, and that woman can't keep her mouth shut to save her life. So we all know that she's going to immediately violate the NDA, and she's going to be right back in court for violating it. So I don't know. But all that to say, she cannot do the nonsense that she's been doing. If she had to actually go before a judge, like in a real court of law, she would be nailed to the wall. And she knows that. The things that she does on the internet, like, she cannot get away with that. And she knows that. And so I think that's why she wants to avoid a court of law as much as possible. Because, in the court of law, there's actual standards. There's like real life reality that exists. It's not unicorns and insanity and cannibalism. So she would actually have to actually have some conduct and some decorum, which she does not have. So I hope that the Macrons like take her to the cleaners. I'm still really hoping that Turning Point is going to end up filing a suit. Obviously, we know Brian Harple has. She just, Candace has never actually had to have any level of accountability for the things that she's done. She's got a wake of destruction going pretty far back into her career. And any time that anything's been filed against her, she's been able to get it dismissed, right? So she's never actually had accountability. And I think that's the problem.
She lost a court case against her landlord.
Oh, yes, you're right. She did. Yeah, I guess she did have that. But it wasn't like she didn't have to pay very much, wasn't it? Just like the
it was a bit over 20 grand. So that thing dragged on for years. That she just bailed on it. But it was the same.
Well, yeah, because they won by default because she didn't even show up to court.
She didn't even present an expert to be able to. For people who don't know this. This is going back to, I think it's 2016, when she was living in a luxury apartment. And I thought it was like over $3,500 a month's rent. And she stopped paying it for 6 months. And she claimed that there was mold. So she didn't move. She just kept living in the apartment, despite her claiming that there was mold. But she decided that she'd stop paying rent. So what happened was that she I can't remember, I think she sued the landlord and the landlord then countersued, but she ended up losing, and effectively the outcome was that it was determined that she was responsible for the mold. But that just speaks. I mean, Candace has always been the same, really. I think that's the thing that, when people actually, when you go and actually track her trajectory, she's always been doing this. She's always been like a psychopath who just makes up stuff, who does a lot of just this, just very like toxic. It's amazing covering her, the amount of people that have reached out to say like, Candace lied about me, try to ruin my career. She just has this pathway of just, burnt bridges. And that's where it's fascinating with the TPUSA thing. What's your understanding about that relationship with TPUSA and how she actually, whether she was fired or how things actually left off with her was it 2019?
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, it was basically that she was given an ultimatum of. So she likes to say that she wasn't fired. She was very much like, they had to sit down and they were basically like, yeah, you're done. It was one of those things where they actually got her a position at PragerU and pretty much helped get her like a pretty cushy option that she couldn't really say no to move her along, so to speak, right? Like, so I mean, Charlie was always the type too that he didn't want like just open like fighting with people. Like, he would never be the one to like talk about that publicly, obviously. So I think that he definitely tried to handle it behind closed doors as much as possible. But yeah, her remaining at Turning Point and staying there was not an option. It was basically, you're going to move into this other position that we found for you, and we're going to go our separate ways, pretty much. So
yeah, it's fascinating watching those old videos of her when after she comes out as a conservative. Because it seemed like she was shopping around with what direction she was going to go. Even Alex Jones was begging her to have a show on InfoWars. So it's fascinating to see her kind of come full circle back around to even now kind of out Alex Jonesing Alex Jones. My thing is just like it's always pure grift. Like that's what has always driven her. So there was a time, you still have conservatives, people on the right who are kind of shocked at Candace Owens now. It's like, what happened to Candace Owens? She's lost her mind. But she's always been this way. She's always been completely unhinged. She just managed to hide it well when it was profitable to do so. So that Daily Wire persona, it was profitable for her to attempt to be somewhat of a composed conservative commentator. But as soon as she saw that, oh, do you know what? There's actually money to be made in the anti-Israel grift, in the conspiracy theory post-COVID side of things. That's when you saw her kind of jumping ship. And my thing I think that she's smart enough to know that it's much more profitable to be a big fish in a little pond than to be like a medium fish in a big pond. And so that's why she's done so well in this kind of sphere of things, because she is a big brand and she is good at what she does. In terms of just like getting in front of the camera, and she has charisma, and so yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see where she ends up from here, because
I mean, she's always had kind of that air of like being a contrarian just for the sake of being a contrarian, right? Because she knows that it gets attention. But I mean, even when you look at, I think that this has been a huge lesson on the conservative side. At least I hope that people are paying attention to this. I think that Jeremy Boring has definitely said that there's a lot of things with her that he regrets, and that he, very much has learned from and wishes that he would have handled differently. So I do think that people are waking up to the fact that they did not handle her correctly. The fact is that behind closed doors, she is an absolute terror. I have talked to multiple people at Turning Point, at other people that know her personal assistant, people who've worked for her, nannies who've worked for her, and every single one of them have had absolute horror stories on how just awful she is behind closed doors. I mean, you have Jeremy Boring telling a story about how on her very first day at the Daily Wire, she showed up and just handed her keys to some random person standing by the door because she just expected that they were gonna like go park her car for her. Like, it's just like that quintessential like air of celebrity that I'm better than everyone type of thing. Graham Allen talking about how like behind the scenes she is late to everything, or she just wouldn't show up to stuff, or she just basically does whatever she wants whenever she wants, and she's a nightmare. And I was like, the fact that everyone in the conservative movement like let her get away with this behavior for so long, I'm like, you guys literally created the Frankenstein. So at the end of the day, I don't feel sorry for them. They allowed her to continue like this and they actively covered for her behavior and allowed her to do this. So at the end of the day, I'm like, let's all hope that you guys have learned your lesson, that when people are monsters like this behind closed doors, you need to expose those types of people and not run cover for them and allow them to be like this. Because now she is so freaking out of control, that like you can't put Pandora, you can't close the box. The Pandora's box is open now, and you can't undo it. So everybody that I've come in contact with that has actually known her behind closed doors has said that she is absolutely horrible human being, horrible to work with, horrible to work for. She's a nightmare. Meanwhile, you hear the opposite about Erica Kirk and how amazing she is and how wonderful she is to be around and how wonderful she is to work for. And, you know, you could not have two complete polar opposite personalities here, which is why there's so much of like the dichotomy is just so fascinating to see because it is just very, very completely different human beings.
Yeah, I'll pull up an example of this. This is a video I did. It was a video I did. I think it was October, but it covers this where it shows that she was always like this, and you know, it's that in many ways she should have never been let into the conservative movement in the first place. No. And this is where it's this is with Tree of Logic, as I was saying. You should go to on my YouTube. You can find it. I did an interview with Tree of Logic, and it's worth finding. It's worth tracking down because Tree of Logic, she's somewhere where she looks at what's going on now. Mm-hmm. And she's
this is the thing that she had with Blair. Yeah, this was how she came out. I watched this when it happened.
Yeah. And this is where so Tree of Logic is a conservative African American commentator, and she was an ex-cop. And Candace Owens had her doxing website, Social Autopsy.
Yeah.
And Tree of Logic found out that she was one of the people who was doxed on that website. And she, when she was a cop, put away 2 people who vowed to find her and do terrible things to her after they were released. So Tree of Logic reached out to Candace saying, "Can you take this down?" And she refused. Candace. So this is where Blair White knew what was going on through Tree of Logic. Tree of Logic was trying to tell her the story about Social Autopsy and the reality of it. And Candace Owens just lies about it. She just lies about all of that, saying it's not a doxing site, it's this and that. And saying like Tree of Logic was getting paid to attack Candace Owens. So even back then, over a decade ago, she was using that same line that there are people who are being paid and they're being incentivized to come after her. Anyway, so Tree of Logic today is just like, yeah, like what you were saying. It's like, I tried to warn you. I tried to warn you all. So now she's kind of like laughing at it all a little bit. It's just like, look, you got what you deserved. So this is Candace on Dave Rubin's show with Blair White. And this is a video I did where you can show I'm gonna play all of it, but you can show it's the exact same tactics that she's always used, where she'll make claims and never back it up with evidence, and always, move the goalposts and just all the same tactics. I'll play just a little bit just to give a window into, the people who are like, Candace Owens has gone crazy, to show like she's always been like this.
Okay. The other lie, and you already said you can't provide evidence, is that Tree of Logic was paid.
I 100% think that she's paid. There was no way. By the way, if I say that I think something is paid, that is at my discretion. I can say I cannot present to you a fact, and you can't present to me not a fact. Okay, so we're both. I'm speculating, and you're saying it's not true. You saying it's not true could be a lie.
Okay, well, I didn't say it wasn't
true.
You
can't prove it's not true, and I can't prove it's true.
Okay, you are admitting that
it's on you. It's on you. You made the claim. It's on me.
Well, I think you're admitting you speculated. So it's
very weird that Richard Spencer jumped into this so early, and that this person made this video, which was a complete lie, saying that. And by the way, you're not talking about any of the lies you told in that video. It's amazing to me.
Candace,
you're so held back to the truth and saying I'm a liar, but you're not talking about any of the lies she told.
Candace, first of all,
do you think I'm coming off the document in 3 weeks?
First of all, Candace, it is completely on you if you make a claim about someone, especially something that someone was paid under the table to make a video about you. It is completely on you to provide evidence for that.
Okay,
claim.
I think that's fair. You are admitting you are speculating on this. You don't have evidence of it. Okay, I think that's a fair point. I think she's admitting she's speculating on it. So the burden of proof is on you. It's not on her to prove it the other way. I think that's fair. I think we're basically all agreed.
Yeah. So far, it's like you called her a crackhead. You've said that she was paid by someone. It's like, these are just lies, and you can say that you're.
But she has told about why. If these YouTubers are really the gatekeepers of truth, why aren't they assessing the lies that this woman told? She said I was missing a site in 3 weeks. She says she doesn't think that's true. She spent time, 40 minutes to be precise, talking about all of my untruths, cherry picking every single thing that I have said about the person. But the person, you're defending her. You're up here defending her.
So we cannot not talk about it. If all you're going to do is sit here.
Stop screaming.
If all you're going to do is sit here and defend this person, then we're going to talk about the fact that this person has told lie after lie after lie after lie after lie. But you don't care about any of those lies. You're focused on me. Why? Because I'm new.
I'll tell you why.
Because I'm new. Yeah, this is all envy, dude. This is YouTube high school drama, dude.
Candace,
You get the idea, but yeah, it's like nothing's changed. Like that all starts with her saying that Tree of Logic was a crackhead who was getting paid by Richard Spencer to attack her. You know, and so the whole thing's just like, what's your basis for that? And then you just see her just, revert to all of this. And she does the same thing now, where she'll say something, make an accusation or a claim, and then say, if you can't disprove my claim, then it still stands. Instead of actually, backing up whatever she's claimed with any kind of proof. Like all of these tactics you saw her do since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and launched this, this ridiculous, investigation.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie ever giving her a job, ever launching her into the conservative movement is the worst thing that he ever did. And Charlie did a lot of really great things. I'm not going to say that he did, but, he wasn't a perfect human being. He still had flaws. He still made mistakes. And at the end of the day, if he could come back tomorrow, I think that would be the biggest regret that he has, was ever being involved with her, ever having anything to do with her, ever giving her a platform and a voice and the attention and all of that. I mean, and the irony is this is the woman who sits here and says that so-and-so just wanted their 15 minutes of fame. They wanted to be famous so badly. And I'm just like, of all the people who wanted to be famous so badly, like, it's you, dude. It's you.
There's a lot of TPUSA people who have come out. I saw someone recently where they gave their personal experience early on of Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens visiting, and they're saying Charlie Kirk was great, and they're saying that she was an absolute nightmare. It's like what you were saying, the same stories that have come out with her working at Daily Wire. But even with her, it's the same thing where she it's all projection. So she talks about Erica Kirk and how could this person run TPUSA? But yeah, I mean, a bunch of stuff has come out about Candace running Blexit and about how terribly she did there. People talking about
was in the hole. She lost a ton of money. Blexit was pretty much a disaster, which is why it kind of just like, if you notice, it just like disappeared. They just quietly kind of slipped it under the rug. She went on to PragerU, and it just like overnight, it was like it was there and then it was gone. And it's because she mishandled it so poorly. And I don't think that Charlie wanted to obviously draw attention to that, because that would have been a negative reflection on Turning Point at the end of the day, not her. And so, yeah, it just kind of disappeared, and that was intentional. It's because she drove it into the ground, unfortunately. So,
yeah, the thing that I always come back to is this idea of that Candace Owens. It's been 10 months, and like, what has she found? The closest thing she's found to a smoking gun were the Charlie Kirk group chat messages with the Jewish donors. I mean, that's the closest. That's the closest thing to any kind of evidence. Anyone who's actually looking at that, from a neutral perspective, can tell that that's someone's knee-jerk reaction in the heat of the moment to losing funding. It's definitely not someone's final ultimate position on how they felt about Israel, let alone any kind of proof that Israel had any involvement in his death.
Well, not only that, but we don't know what else was in those group chats. So the thing is everyone always has just taken it that is the conversation. It's cut off. So we actually don't know the full entirety of what Andrew sent to have them look at. We don't actually know if there's something in there that would have made more sense, because Candace immediately honed in on the portion about Israel and the donor, because that fit her narrative that she was already running with, and that just, was the perfect little piece to her, whatever, her story that she was already spinning. So if we were to actually open that chat up and be able to see more of it, because somebody being upset about a donor, to me, I've always wondered, like, why would that like trigger Andrew to send that to the government? I feel like there's maybe something else more in there that we've never actually seen, because she's only honed in on that one small portion, and we don't know what else consisted in there. And at that point, he didn't want it to be leaked, so I don't think that Andrew would like discuss that openly. He's not going to share something that, you know what I mean? Like, he's not going to go into any more detail than he was pretty well forced to go into the amount of detail that he already did go into because of her. So I don't know. I just think that that's very convenient that she gave us the snapshot just about the Israel portion, and then we've never seen anything else in there. So
well, she's really good at that. In that she'll take something that she can use, and then she'll deliberately frame it in a way that's most advantageous for her.
She shows you what she wants you to see. Yes.
Yeah, and you could see that when you go back and watch her episodes now from around that time, you can tell when she received that. And I personally believe that she received that from Joe Kent.
I do too.
I think there's a lot. The fact that Andrew Colbert gave it to Joe Kent, that he was the person that's since come out, that Joe Kent was the person who received it. And that we know that Joe Kent and Candace have, a friendship. Yeah, and he's being investigated for leaking, or he was at some point in time. There's a lot of things that I believe points to Joe Kent being the person. But you can go back and you can see when she received that, because she immediately does this massive show and dance where she's like, I'm putting the fire, I'm putting it all on you, TPUSA. Like, can you confirm or deny this, that within 48 hours that Charlie Kirk had abandoned support of Israel, and that he meant to bring me back on tour, and all of the stuff where you could tell that, okay, she had that ready, that in case they came out and denied it, that she'd be able to then say, look, see, you're lying. But that's where the reality of how she framed it to actually what it was is way off. My favorite part about that, and still at this point in time, look, it's horrible what she's done to TPUSA and Erica Kirk. But the amazing thing about covering Candace Owens is that she's such a moron. She's a real. It's hilarious how inept she is a lot of the times. Like, she is very, very incompetent. She's still pernicious, and her audience is significant enough that it's genuinely disturbing. And it's why I do what I do. But I love that moment where she was like, Charlie Kirk intended to bring me back, and we were going to tour, and the way it was like the band was going to get back together. And the reality was that Charlie Kirk was using her as a threat to say like, do you know what? I'll bring Candace back. If we go down this road.
Because she's awful to be around. Like I said, every person I've ever spoken to who has worked with her has had nothing but like negative things to say. I'm not even lying. Like, if I had a good story to tell you, I would tell it to you. They're just legitimately, I've never heard one. So yeah, I mean, he was literally, he was using it as a threat against his own employees of like, I'll bring Candace back. And they're all like, no, because she's a nightmare. But yeah, she takes that as like a compliment. And it's like, no, girly, no, they're making fun of you. Like, they're mocking you right now. They're laughing at you. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe she's got a little bit of the tism. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is, I personally think that she despised Charlie Kirk.
Oh, 100%.
And so I think in many of this, it's like underneath it all, this is her way of getting revenge on Charlie Kirk. It's like what you say. It's like Shakespearean, the level of tragedy of it all. That Charlie Kirk brought this person into his inner circles, and then his failure to call her out has led to this. Her tormenting his own widow. It's so horrific and so dark.
If he would have, I mean, I know, I say that all the time. I'm like, if he had the ability to come back tomorrow, knowing everything that's gone down, obviously while he was gone, that I think that's the first thing that he would do, and that I definitely think that would be his biggest regret, is not making a public severing of that relationship and making it very known that he wanted nothing to do with her and why. But he just, he was always the type that he really wanted this unity. And that was one of my biggest struggles with him even before he died. Like, that was one of the things that I disagreed with. Being pro-life, I very much disagreed when the Trump administration worked so hard to remove all the pro-life language from the GOP party platform. And they did it during the RNC in August of 2024. So we had 41 years of we had pro-life language in our party platform, to make an amendment to our Constitution to recognize preborn children as having equal rights and protections under the Constitution. And that had been in there for a very long time, since I believe 1971. And yeah, here comes Laura Trump, the RNC chair, and she just stripped that all right out of there. And I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. I was so mad. I was livid. And I'm like, I was an avid Charlie Kirk show listener. I would watch him and listen to him every single day. Usually in the car, like on my way to work or whatever. And yeah, I was like, okay, he's going to talk about it. He's going to talk about it. He's going to mention how bad this is and how horrible this is for our party. Never mentioned it once. And I was like, bro, what are you doing right now? So, I mean, even I had my criticisms of Charlie Kirk. Don't get me wrong. He was one of those people that he was almost too unifying to his, what's the word I'm looking for? It was harmful to him in a lot of aspects. I feel like it was almost like, I don't know.
Well, I think that was his strength, was coalition building. That's what he was incredible at doing, and that's why, I mean, so many people credit him with the Trump victory, the second one. I like his response. I think he breaks down in tears pretty much when he finds out the result, and you see.
Well, yeah, because he didn't want to go to prison, so.
but because
they were going to put him in jail. That's why. But I mean, yeah.
But you can see
he'd want Trump to win too.
But that response from after he won, it's like it really feels like this guy put everything into this. But you're absolutely right. I think that's the thing. It's like when you actually look at his track record, he's not someone who had beefs. He wasn't someone who caused drama. Really, that I can think of.
No, he didn't go out there seeking to pick fights with people. Where Candace, she absolutely will go out seeking a fight, to start stuff with people, to throw people under the bus, absolutely. Yeah, no, Charlie.
That's a business model.
Yeah, and whenever drama or fights found him, he, like I said, he would try to smooth things over. He was very much a unifier. Again, almost to his detriment. He was almost too much of a unifier, in a way that there were times where he was unifying with people like Candace that he had no business unifying with. Because there are those times where you do need to call people out. There are certain people that at the end of the day, you shouldn't be working with them. And that's okay to draw that line and draw that boundary, right?
Yeah.
But he got into the world of, when you're in the world of politics, you don't have very much time before you have to turn around and do another election. You're constantly in that election season mindset. And that's where you really need that unity. So, I think he was just always thinking about how we always had another election coming up and that you need those votes, which, you do.
Well, and I mean, you look at what he built with TPUSA, it's pretty astounding. Yeah, in Australia, we don't have anything. We don't have anything whatsoever equivalent. I mean, we're pretty well captured by the left in Australia. Every, from government to our institutions, and the idea of having a Charlie Kirk figure, like a young, cool conservative who was like massive on social media, on TikTok and things like that. It's incomprehensible in Australia. And so you're right. It's like the amount of, to be able to pull that off is really quite incredible. But there is that, there is that thing where it's like what is the cost, and that is like politics. What you're saying, that is that thing with politics. There are times where you do have to, your values and things like that have to be stood aside for the greater good of what you're aiming for politically, and which is something that's completely foreign to me. Even recently, I made a video calling out Jack Posobiec, exposing him for lying.
Yeah.
So I with him lying about his past with Pizzagate on Piers Morgan. So I did a video on that, and it was just like, this guy's just blatantly lying. It's just, and he lied over and over and over again. And this wasn't long after the preliminary hearing where he was doing all the interviews afterwards, saying what was going on. And there was people in this kind of circle that we're in, where we are calling out the conspiracy theorists and the lies that are being pushed. And those people who are saying you should delete this and take it down, because Candace and others will use this to be able to point to Posobiec then maybe lying about what he saw in court. And it's just like, I can't comprehend that. I don't understand that. I want nothing to do with liars or grifters.
You have to be willing to call out people on your own side too. And because this is the problem with the left, right? The problem that we've always had with the left is that they would never rein in their crazy. They never would call it out, or when stuff got way too ridiculous, they didn't do anything about it, and it just completely overtook their party. And now they have a whole slew of other problems because they didn't rein that in, right? And so, because they didn't self-monitor, they didn't self-regulate in any way. And, this is where, like, the Republican side, I'm just like, we have to be willing to call out the crazy on our own side. And that's what we're seeing with this whole, like, woke Reich thing that's happening, the far right thing that's happening. Like, we need to call that out. We need to say that that's not normal. This is not okay. This behavior is disgusting. It's vile. I don't want this anywhere near our party. Not even close, especially, like, the anti-Semitism, the anti-Israel like thread of all of that. Like, absolutely not. It's disgusting. You have to self-regulate, or it's just going to completely take over.
And this also ties back to that group chat with the Jewish donors. That's the thing. It's just like, there was nothing wrong with donors saying, we don't like that you're putting Tucker Carlson up there and he's pushing, these horrific things that we believe are doing harms to our Jewish community. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever for them to decide, why would I be supporting an organization that's allowing this guy to have this massive platform to spew things that, we believe is harmful for our community. That's absolutely within their right to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you're right.
I think Turning Point dealt with Tucker for way longer than they should have. And I think that they kind of recognize that now. I have it on good authority that they are done with him. But the other side of that is, I mean, I was done with Tucker when he started getting into all of this anti-Semitism too. And I thought it was crazy that Turning Point was still entertaining him and like dealing with him. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? I had the same thoughts as those donors. So, but this is also why there's a lot of hesitancy towards JD Vance. Like, and a lot of people are saying that if Marco Rubio is to run, like, he's the one that they're going to support. I'm telling you right now, if Marco Rubio runs, I will be supporting him personally. That is my view. JD Vance is just too much of a question mark for me. And the fact that he will not call out the anti-Semitism, the fact that he will not draw a clear, hard line distinction because he needs to. It is taking over our party. It is taking over our culture. It is everywhere. And he really needs to make it very clear where he stands. And he has been told by people, like, you know, people close to him have gone to him and had those conversations about, dude, you really need to make a stand against this. And he won't do it. He's still very, very buddy with Tucker Carlson. Very good, like close with him, hanging out with him. Didn't they just go to like a MMA match or like a boxing match or something like that together? So yeah, no, his anti-Semite, like again, I don't think that he's an anti-Semite, but his unwillingness to make a clear, like, distinction that he is against that and like call that out for what it is, he makes me very nervous. He's also very in this newly converted to the Catholic Church like camp, and all of these people that are newly converted to the Catholic Church all seem to be drawn into this anti-Semitism, anti-Israel stuff. It's just like a common thread that they all have, and I'm just like, so I'm kind of watching him a lot right now. If he were to come out tomorrow and like make a clear statement of like, this is wrong, this is vile, we need the ally that is Israel, like all of this anti-Semitism is disgusting, then I'd be like, okay, you know, good. I'm glad that he finally made a statement on that, but he has not done that, and he makes me very nervous. I'm not a fan. And the fact that Turning Point already put their cards behind him as their candidate, as like they've already given their endorsement, that also makes me very nervous for them, that they've already put themselves in that position. So, I mean, granted, I guess they could remove an endorsement. I don't think that they ever have, like historically. That would be like the first time that they've ever removed an endorsement. But yeah, I don't know. Turning Point already put their cards behind JD Vance, and he is a big question mark for me right now. So.
I just want to just like touch on that quickly with TPUSA, you know, because I think they've done really well to honor the legacy of Charlie Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, at the same time, you know, Erica Kirk is CEO now. So I mean, what do you do? You know, because that's the thing. It's you can't know what Charlie Kirk's stance would necessarily be at all times, especially not moving more and more into the future with uncertainty.
No,
and changing
politics
landscape.
changes so fast. I mean, politics is literally changing every few hours, let alone every couple of days. You know what I mean? It's changing all the time. So
what I mean, so the question is how does TPUSA look moving forward as it gets further and further away from Charlie Kirk's death? You know, and yeah, I mean, TPUSA was founded by Charlie Kirk, but it's not as if, you know, that's the thing. It's like, how do you balance that where it's its own mission? You know, it has its own mission statement, its own goals. So how do you kind of balance that where you trying to honor Charlie Kirk, the founder, and what he would want, but you know, I mean, say if JD Vance went further and further off the deep end, we know that JD Vance was Charlie Kirk's like guy, like he did a lot to get him the position as a vice president. So what do you do if you find that JD Vance is, say, hypothetically getting more and more radical from TPUSA's point of view? You know, because if they were to abandon the support of JD Vance, it would look like they're contradicting Charlie Kirk and what he believed in. So it's a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing to do.
Never mind, though, that, I mean, Charlie wouldn't have had any idea that Tucker was going to behave the way that he has since he died. I mean, Charlie would have never, you know, he doesn't, you know, he wouldn't have had any of the background of, like, JD Vance still continuing to prop up Tucker even after him trying to destroy his wife and all of, like, so I mean, yeah, that's where, I mean, they're going to use anything that they can to be like, oh, they're completely going against Charlie's wishes. And it's like, never mind that there's a whole lot about the scenario that has completely changed since Charlie was here almost a year ago, right? Like, again, politics, like the atmosphere and the environment that is politics is that it is changing constantly all the time. So, I mean, even the things that they say that Turning Point has gone against, like on Thomas Massey and stuff like that, Charlie himself was already like not good with Thomas Massey like before he died. They just like conveniently ignore that though. Like because Thomas Massey got in there and he immediately started going against the Trump agenda, and Charlie was like, "No, we need people that are in there that are going to work on the agenda and get this stuff done." So he already was like disconnecting himself from Massey, but again, they only want to focus on what they want to focus on. So
yeah, let me just do a couple of super chats, and then I want to play. You got a shout out from Candace. Let's play that, and then maybe we can move into what that was around, and we can cover some of these conspiracies. It's from Pixie Hayes. Just a little bit of help to help you out, bro. Thank you very much. Daughter Galatians 84. Check out Nicole Arbor's personal experience with Candy. Yeah, I mean hers definitely. She, from what I remember, she confided in Candace some things, including to do with stalkers, and then Candace just used that. She used that as content. I mean, like Candace is such a just nasty person. Remember the Lord.
What she did to Nicole Arbor was horrible.
Horrible. MilkBar, you're the man. Thank you. Been enjoying your commentary on Candace, Tucker, Tate, all the scumbags, liars, and grifters. Thank you. GGB, new member. Thanks for coming on board. Thanks everyone. All right, let's play. Was this your first shout out from her?
So she showed one of my ex posts a while ago, but she just showed it on screen. She didn't like read it or anything. This is the first time that she actually like said my name and like read the post out loud. So yeah.
Okay.
Online yesterday, as expected, the Candace never has any evidence crowd. She is just dreaming. Oh, she's just up on her show every day pretending to dream. They were not having a good evening on social media after our episode. I always love that moment, by the way, when you surprise the flock of mockingbirds. So they kind of struggle to get their talking points in order. They're looking at each other like, what are we supposed to be saying here? We weren't planning for this. They have no real thoughts of their own, right? So they're just awaiting on their next instructions. And sometimes whoever it is that is instructing them doesn't have them prepared. And in that
Can you pause that?
Precious little time frame.
Okay, so actually she just showed right there why we actually all have our own individual thoughts, and we actually are not a monolith or a hive mind, right? Because she literally says, like, oh, they all messed up. They're all supposed to have this talking point, yet they're all going in their own different direction and saying their own thing. So you just literally showed that we actually are our own individual people with our own thoughts, and we're all posting our own content with our own thought processes as we have them. We actually are not like giving talking points that are all bullet points that are exactly the same. She literally like, girl, what?
Yeah. Also, my favorite thing about this is it's the projection again. Because I love you. You'll be on Twitter, and immediately Candace Owens' episode finishes, and you get all of her cult followers who just regurgitate exactly what they've heard from her with whatever line it is.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you see them just flood that, and you just see that over and over again, where it's just like, yeah, these people are incapable of defending or having any position unless they're told what that position is that they have to take. And that line from Candace, yes, this idea, it's the same thing. Was just like that no one could possibly be challenging her that has arrived at that position independently based on the merits. It must be a conspiracy.
Yeah. She tries to use that as like a diss, but I'm going to take that as a compliment, actually, because, I am a real person with my own individual thoughts, and I post what I want, when I want, how I want. I'm not being given any talking points from anybody. I do what I want. Thank you. Thanks for that, Candy. Okay, next.
The best, it's always interesting when she covers you as a topic, because there's no more of an expert on you than you.
Oh my gosh.
so it just very clearly shows how she operates. So like with me, she's moved from like covering me. So she'll move from covering me and like saying my name, but then she'll also call me like part of the Zionist, group. So she'll switch from that, and she'll literally switch with the same thing, So I like grabbed some stuff from her book club and posted that online, and that went really viral. And then she copyright struck it down and got it removed. But meanwhile, she was publicly saying that she was so happy I did that because it brought in so many new book club members. But in private, she was trying to take it down as quickly as possible.
Of course.
And so she was gleeful about that. So she then on her episodes said, I managed to take down Nathan Livingston, MilkBarTV, this video. He's this like psycho who's obsessed with me, and then a month later, it was the Egyptian planes. So then that it morphed into like, instead of that being me that I was obsessed with her and doing this, it morphed into the Zionists were panicking about the Egyptian planes. So they infiltrated my book club to then drag away attention. It's that thing where it's great. It's great when she covers people because they realize like, oh, she's just completely just full of shit, like utterly.
Air with general upset and stupidity. They try to attack reality. It's really, like I said, something to behold. They're like literal lost sheep, but they're usually pretty angry, which is why some of them just straight up wanted me arrested. I'm not kidding. This person tweeted, if Candace is not charged for obstruction of jury tampering after releasing footage of allegedly Tyler Robinson killing Charlie to her audience today, a judge graph demanded not be shown. She is part of the two-tiered justice system. I'm not going to post it, but the defense argued it not be shown to the public so that Tyler Robinson gets a fair trial. Well, Candace just released it. I don't know how, but people need to go to jail. This is backed up by an account called LisaKnows. She wrote, Candace has just released footage the judge ordered not to be shown to the public. She's already doxed a witness for the prosecution. When is she going to be charged with obstruction? This is completely out of hand. She's doing everything she can to destroy this trial. She is absolutely evil. I love the idea that I'm obstructing justice, but they are bringing literal influencers to court and lying. Influencers are going out and lying about what they see inside the courtroom. And of course, that was pretty swiftly community noted, charging me with obstruction of justice. The community note reads, Candace released independently obtained Lozy rooftop footage. Court limits on broadcasting exhibits applied to courtroom media, not third-party commentators. Legal standard.
Yeah,
for
pause that. So, okay.
Can I just say the community notes, like, they're out for you.
They are out of control, bro. Like, it is so bad. First of all, her and her cult members, just so people like are aware, they have group chats where they literally get everybody approved to do community notes, and they send out instructions to them on which ones to go and downvote and upvote and put suggestions in. They have completely infiltrated community notes to the point that they are completely useless now. They are.
How do you know that? How did you find that out?
Well, little birdie told me. From a little birdie that told me. But yeah, I mean, they definitely are organized. I mean, and you can tell how organized they are because they will just swarm a post. And not only that, they've been so the other thing that they're using, this is also how I know that they're doing it. So you know how on X they can put you on lists without your consent? Yeah. So they've been using these lists to put all of us on. And any of us that have been approved to do community notes, they've actually been rating us and like down rating us. And once you get down rated so much, it makes it to where you can't even like touch notes anymore. It takes a really long time that once you've been down rated, it's really hard to get your standing as a community noter like back up into good standing. And so like, I mean, and they are so organized with it that they will go back to stuff that is like 5, 6, a year old, like old stuff. And they will like upvote and downvote on stuff that is super old. I mean, they are so organized with community notes. Again, the only way that it makes sense is that they have to have some type of way that they're communicating about the notes and like who is organized to be able to monitor the notes. And then they're putting us on lists, which is another way that they're monitoring them and like going back to old posts. And Like I said, you can just tell that they're very organized around it. They have to be, because there's nothing else that makes sense on how they are doing the things that they're doing. But first of all, so on that community note, all that to say is, like, community notes are just utterly useless because the entire system has been infiltrated by the candy cult to the point that they are just a joke now. And they just blatantly lie on them too. Okay, so first of all, this community note is just assuming, it's making the assumption that she received this footage legally. We actually don't know how she got this footage. She never said, well, she said it was somebody that worked in the government that like gave it to her, but she never showed an email communication between the two of them. She never showed like text messages between who she was communicating with that she got this. She says that she got it back in October, but again, we have nothing that has any type of timestamps or date stamps or anything like that. So we actually don't know that she got this independently and that she got it legally or lawfully at all. We have no idea. The community note is just completely making that assumption. Okay. It also goes on to talk about how she's a third-party distributor, so she's not held to the court order, blah, blah, blah. That's all well and good. But in my post, not only do I mention that the footage could have been gotten illegally, which we still don't know how she got it, but I also mention the fact that she completely doxed a witness for the prosecution. She literally went after, I can't ever say the lady's last name, Fontina or Faustina.
Yeah, I'll try and pull it up.
Yeah. She went in on that lady's entire family history, where she lived, the fact that like her uncle was brutally murdered a couple years ago, like just went in on this poor lady, just like absolutely doxing her into oblivion. And this is a law enforcement, official who's just doing her job. It is part of their job that they have to testify for these court cases, right? So notice that the community note never mentions the doxing of the witness, which I also mentioned. I said, it's not that Candace has just done one singular thing. She has done multiple things to try to tamper with this case. And that is extremely problematic. Like she is doing everything, I believe she's doing everything that she can to cause absolute destruction and chaos within this case. So that community note is just, again, it's a joke.
I want to play this because it's ridiculous. With what you were saying with this expert witness. But you even got I saw you even got community noted for who your pastor was.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've gotten community notes on them literally telling me that my pastor is someone that is not my pastor. And when I said like, no, guys, that's not my pastor, they pulled old like posts from when this person was my pastor and tried to say like, well, Lisa has posted before that this person is their pastor. So I had to make another post and explain, you guys, my family went to a church and then we no longer attend that church and we now attend a different church. And so I now have a different pastor. I know that that's a crazy concept for y'all to understand, but that's just that's just the reality of people's lives. Okay. So no, I'm not lying saying that this individual is no longer my pastor. We actually don't attend that church any longer. And he is not my pastor anymore. Like, cause that's just how life works. But yeah, they successfully got a community note that saying that my pastor was somebody that is no longer my pastor. I'm just like, because I apparently don't know my own life anymore, I guess.
That's what you said. Like, I don't know my own life.
The newest thing is that they're trying to say that I faked having cancer. Did not happen.
Yeah, what was that? What was that? I saw that you replied to someone. You replied to me saying,
"Oh my God,"
saying that you were faking cancer.
Yeah, they're trying to say that I self-diagnosed myself. Definitely did not happen. So what actually happened was about a year after my brother died, I started having some very concerning symptoms. I started losing weight like crazy. I was just dropping weight like crazy. I had some blood in my stool. I had these crazy episodes where I would be like bent over, like having like really, really bad, crazy stomach cramps, like to the point that I would almost pass out. Just like multiple really bad symptoms. And so, yeah, like I looked up, I just happened to be like scrolling on TikTok and somebody was mentioning like the symptoms for colon cancer. And I had every single one of the symptoms, actually. And I was like, oh, that's terrifying. Probably should go get that checked out. And so I did. I went to a gastroenterologist. I went to a doctor to check all of my hormones and my thyroid and a bunch of stuff. I saw multiple different specialists over a series of months, where I was continuing to lose weight like crazy. By the way, I was actually very sick at that time. I had a bunch of testing done. I ended up having a colonoscopy done. I had another pill camera scope done, where you have to swallow like a pill camera and do a scope that way. All of that to say, ultimately, they said that I did not have cancer, which was a huge relief. Like, for about 4 or 5 months, my family was honestly scared that I might have colon cancer. Like, it was actually very scary. Again, because I had all of the symptoms. And it was, if you don't know, colon cancer is like rising in young people, like through the roof. Like, I think it's like, it used to be unheard of for people to get diagnosed with colon cancer until they were well into like their 50s and 60s. And now people in their 20s and 30s are getting diagnosed with colon cancer. But not only that, by the time they're finding it in like stage 4. And then these people are dying. Like, it's really sad, actually. So anyway, I did not end up having colon cancer, thank God. I actually ended up having something going on with my thyroid, as well as they ended up diagnosing me with IBS-D, which I now have, I'm on medication for. My thyroid is now properly being regulated through medication. And so I am doing much better now. I actually started, I was able to put on weight again and all of that. And yeah, I'm doing well now. So I did end up having a medical condition, just not that medical condition. Thank God. Like I said, I did not want to have cancer. I was terrified of having cancer. But I when all this was happening, I was documenting it on TikTok, about the process of like the doctors that you should go to, the types of testing that you should have if this is happening, all of that stuff. And I literally made a post saying my colonoscopy came back fine. Thank God I do not have cancer. And then when I ended up finding out exactly what I did have, I ended up making a post saying exactly what I ended up being diagnosed with. So now they're trying to turn that into that I said that I had cancer when I didn't, and I was self-diagnosing. No, I went to multiple doctors, had a ton of tests ran on me, and ended up finding out what was wrong with me. I never claimed that I had cancer. I said that I had all the symptoms that matched colon cancer, but I did not end up having colon cancer. Thank God.
Well, that's good. That's good that your health's improving. I mean, you've been through it. Like they doxed you, and I mean they've come after you pretty hard, right?
Yeah. Apparently, just a few hours ago, the Leah Files said that she's opening a report with the FBI against me, Zach, and Sean, and that she filed a police report, and that she is like gonna be suing me. I'm like, okay, well, good luck with that. I literally just shared a post on X. I shared a post that a investigative journalist found this information because she was going online saying that she had credentials within the intelligence community that she doesn't have. She was presenting herself fraudulently. And so Sean Campbell, who, like I said, is an investigative journalist, he's been an investigative journalist for like 12, 13 years, something like that. All he did was find a post from one of her previous employers, where they actually were talking about her position, because she actually has a degree in economics and finance. So she was contracted for a couple of government agencies to work on finance projects for them, and like supply chain stuff and compliance and things like that. She was not to the level of intelligence that she's trying to purport herself online, where she's making videos pretending to do profiling and psychological profiling of Erica Kirk. She does not have the training to be doing profiling on Erica Kirk. She worked as a third-party contractor for finance in the finance field. Okay, so all that to say, Sean was able to find her work history. He was able to find her actual credentials, and literally just said, like, this woman is presenting herself fraudulently. She doesn't actually have the credentials that she has purported herself to have online. And here's how we know this. Here's the information. And that was it. Nobody ever said like her husband's name. Nobody ever said her children's name. Nobody ever said where she lives. Nobody ever went into any of that type of stuff. And I never, ever, ever would in a million years. Literally all we did was stick to the relevant conversation that was being discussed, which was her work history, her career, and her credentials. And is she actually who she says that she is online, like who she's claiming herself to be? And ultimately we found that she was not actually who she presented herself to be. And so yeah, that got turned into that I doxed her. Never mind that I absolutely did not. Like I said, Sean Campbell was the one who found the information, and she actually made a whole post where she tagged Sean and called him out for being the one that posted it, right? They had an interaction, and then all of a sudden, after that was up for a couple of hours, she decided that she was going to block him and then delete that post and then start tagging me all over the place as the culprit who like did this to her, even though I did not. And then she also made a TikTok video blasting my name everywhere and sent her army of 300,000 followers after me. And then when that happened, I actually did get doxxed to the point that my address was posted online, my children's photos, my extended family, my in-laws, they were posted online, my husband's full name, my full maiden name, my full married name, my middle name, the state that I was born in, the state that I live in now. My husband's social media pages were posted online. Pictures of me from my childhood were posted online. Basically, she says that she was doxxed, and her little minions came after me and did tenfold what was ever happened to Leah. We'll just say that. They already went way above and beyond what again, because we only stuck to her work history. That's it. Nobody went outside the bounds of her work history. And so, yeah, and I don't even know why she fully acknowledged that Sean was the one that found that information. He was the one that verified that information. And then for whatever reason, she flipped a switch, decided that she was going to block him, and then send all of her attention towards me, which was so crazy because I was like two people twice removed from the situation, and just make me out to be like the culprit. I think she did that after Baron Coleman got involved. Baron Coleman started threatening to dox me. And then once he got involved in the equation, that's when she switched it up and decided that Sean was no longer important. And now I was going to be, I guess, the bigger fish. I don't know. There's actually a comment that she posted publicly where and I went over it in a video. I showed it in a video where somebody asked her, how did he, keyword there being he, how did he get the photo? And she responds to that person and she says, apparently one of my previous employers had it on their website. So right there, she fully acknowledges that she wasn't doxxed because it was already openly available to the public and had been for a very long time. But then she also openly acknowledges that Sean, was the one that found that information, not me, not she, not this girl right here. I didn't do it. And she fully said that publicly, that I wasn't the one that even did it. But here we are. And still to this day, they're still in my comments telling me, I better find a good lawyer. She's going to come for you. She's going to sue you. I said, well, good luck with that, because all I did was repost something that somebody else had shared on X. And if that's the standard now, then there's a lot of you who've apparently like committed really horrible crimes for just simply reposting something that somebody else posted. So
yeah, I mean, these people are just complete smear merchants and just utterly bad faith liars. I mean, it's always what they accuse you of, they're guilty of. I want to I just want to touch on some of your encounters face to face with some of these people. You've debated a couple of them.
Zach Costello.
Yeah, I got a clip of you, Zach. Here we go. This is the caliber of argument that we're talking about.
Oh,
so let me play a little bit. This is from your debate with Zach Costello. I'll just play it.
And I think that she did it. to recruit her into the pageant world. And have you looked into the pageant world financial dynamics? It works like a pyramid scheme. Current or past contestants, they get paid for bringing others in.
But at the end of the day,
if there's one thing that I know for certain, women in their 20s, whether it be Beachbody, doTERRA oils, whatever it may be, I've still got them from my sister. They're still sitting in my house. It's like a moth to a flame type of attraction to pyramid companies. And
but
it's
you
really,
don't have
really
any
like, who
proof
cares?
that Erica engaged in any MLMs or pyramid schemes. So I don't know why we're going off of this.
She's in the pageant world. I'm literally talking to you about what the pageant world does. They do this.
Entire jobs are pageant mentors and pageant coaches.
And she gets paid for it. And
we don't know that she was getting paid for any of this. Actually, we don't even know that the photographer got paid. He could have done this for free time. We don't know.
I have a feeling that Erica Kirk cared about the money and was getting paid.
Well, I don't care about your feelings, Zach. I care about what's in front of us.
So painfully, painfully stupid.
Well, I have a feeling. I'm like, yeah, well, your feeling means absolutely jack. Thanks, though.
I just, she was in the pageant world, and so the pageant world, there's some dodgy stuff at some point that's been going on. So then that means
when they were trying to say that she was grooming that like 15-year-old girl, which come to find out her mother actually had full knowledge of everything that she was doing. Her mother was involved in everything. Erica was absolutely not like grooming a child. She was not sexually attracted to a child. She was trying to mentor this girl and help this girl because this girl actually had some pretty serious issues. And so, yeah, Zach, he was arguing from the position that he believed that Erica was apparently sexually attracted to children. And I was like, yeah, except there's only one problem with that. We have absolutely no evidence to back or support that at all. So
they moved on from that pretty quickly. Yeah, it's
temporarily. They'll come back around to it. They always recirculate and recycle their garbage.
Yeah, well, when things are quiet, but it's always this amazing thing of TPUSA is part of like a human trafficking ring, and then it's like, okay, we've now moved on to this, and let's forget about the fact that we just accused TPUSA of being human traffickers. That doesn't Charlie Kirk was a time traveler, and this is why he was
supposedly.
This is why he was killed. It's like, all right, we'll just do an episode on that, and then we'll just kind of move on. The Macron's hired assassins to try and kill me.
He apparently was engaging in telekinesis and electrokinesis as well, if you ask Candace Owens. And apparently he went to some Superman, like X-Men school, right? For like really smart kids. And apparently he was MK Ultra, and so was she. She, after she talked about that, she had to like put herself into the story because that's what a true narcissist does. They can't be left out of the equation. They have to write themselves into the equation every single time. So then, she also went to an X-Man school because she was super smart, and she also was MK Ultra and can also engage in electrokinesis as well. Like, y'all are freaking insane.
You gotta head off soon, but I wanna what's the latest? Actually, let's do this one quickly. This is another debate you did. I don't know who this guy is, but
DD, yeah, that was a nightmare.
I got no clue who this guy is.
Because he told me that we were gonna be debating something. So like in our private DMs, we had discussed like exactly what we were gonna be debating and what the conversation was gonna be, and I got on there and he completely did not do what we had discussed, and so I was pissed. So you can tell from this footage that I was not a happy camper because I felt like I was set up for clickbait, which is basically what he was clip farming me. That's all he wanted to do, and it was ugh. Anyway, yeah.
I mean, you're not getting paid for this. You're giving your time to do this stuff. And this is what I mean. It's just like
going on their platforms, which they're actually getting, they're getting super chats, they're getting attention, they're getting money because I'm going on their their streams and stuff, which is totally fine. I know that I'm doing that and I'm okay with that, but don't tell me that we're going to be doing one thing behind the scenes and then when I get on your show, you're extremely disrespectful to me and then you completely like lie and go in a completely different direction than what you said you were going to do. That's just disgusting. Even Zach Costello was 10 million more times the gentleman and more respectful to me than this dude was. This was my worst interaction with a Candy Coulter ever because, like I said, even though Zach and I were on opposing sides, he was still very respectful to me. He thanked me for coming on his show and all that stuff. Jay the Yapper, he's another one. I went on his live stream. Again, he was still very respectful. He thanked me for coming on, all that stuff. This dude, he was a little weasel. He was awful.
That was player.
No, you didn't. You gave me a bunch of hearsay and a bunch of my opinion. That's not evidence.
Got you. So I'm about to respond. I would like to respond without you butting in. Bingo. Hey, everybody watching, watch what she's about to do. I'm born for this. It's not going to work. If you are arguing that Tyler Robinson did it. I'm arguing that he did not. So I'm the defense. You're the prosecution. You're trying to prosecute him. Tyler Robinson does not have to prove that he didn't do it. They have to prove that he did.
You are going against the state because you're not the defense. You're not a lawyer. You have no legal expertise or experience whatsoever. You've already stated so. So at the end of the day, you are saying that the state is completely making up everything that's in that charging document and that it doesn't exist. You realize that that's not possible. You can't put something in a charging document if it does not exist. That's not how this works. That's not real life. You're living in a fantasy. So again, what do you have that is credible evidence to support that Tyler Robinson did not take that shot?
So I'm about to respond now. Bingo, thank you. Tyler Robinson supposedly pow Charlie Kirk with the 30-06. A 30-06 that he left after the fact. Okay. The police show up to the campus to look for the gun. They can't find it. They have bomb-sniffing dogs. They can't find the weapon anywhere. They look in the area where the weapon will later be found. It's not until the feds show up, and conveniently enough, they find the weapon. If you all do not know how strong bomb-sniffing dogs' noses are, I have a clip to play, but I'm not going to play it here because she's on a short time stretch and she's trying to find excuses to get out of this. My job here is to prove reasonable doubt. I've done that about 15 times already in this video.
You have not at all. You've not even hardly substantiated your claim. At the end of the day, again, bomb-sniffing dogs are not, they don't look for weapons.
His face, he was so confused.
Weapons? Bomb-sniffing dogs don't look for weapons. So where did you even get that information? Where are you pulling this from?
That's not how this works.
Yes.
Sorry that you don't know. No.
Yes, there's literally a man who actually trains these dogs who made a whole video against Candace's claims because bomb-sniffing dogs don't look for gunpowder. Those are two completely different types of canines. You don't even know what you're talking about.
Got you. Hey, why did they pave over the concert?
So you just immediately burden shifts to something else.
Reasonable doubt. Lisa, listen, that's reasonable doubt.
You need to listen and actually respond to what is being said instead of listening to just give your next talking point, my guy. What you are doing right now, this is not actual debate.
Lisa, this is bad.
Have you ever listened to Trent Horn? Have you listened to Andrew Wilson? Have you actually ever watched a constructed debate in your entire life? Because this is a disaster and you should be embarrassed.
It's so painful.
And then we actually now know that when Candace made that whole claim that like the bomb sniffing dog thing, actually none of that ever even happened. Like it came out after him and I had this debate. We now know that that was completely fabricated and it's been completely debunked that like that was never even the situation. Like there was never a problem. Like the dogs were like never having a hard time finding the weapon, like what she claimed. It was all BS. So
it's just the amazing thing is that, I mean, what is it? I mean, you engage with these people more than I do. It's the 30-odd sex that's impossible for that his head would be blown off and that there's no exit wound. I mean, what else is there really to point to?
I mean, it's just gotten so crazy at this point. Like,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they'll just say that the 30-06 is an impossibility. Never mind that I've never seen anybody with an actual ballistics background or with actual ballistics experience. They've never said that it's impossible. They've said that it's a rarity. It's rare for you to not have an exit. And they've been very open about that. Like, this isn't very common, right? But it's not impossible. And here's why. And like, they'll list out XYZ on why it's not an impossibility. And now we do know, since the preliminary stuff, that the type of ammunition that he was using was soft point. And soft point's entire purpose and its entire job is to mushroom on impact, right? And that's why you have all the fragments. And so actually the type of ammunition that he used actually matches exactly to the type of wound that we saw, and all of the above. It's actually all the pieces are actually coming into alignment. It's an amazing thing. So yeah, I mean, I have another clip with him where he tried to make the whole, they just reiterate all of Candace's talking points. They don't even use their own brain, to the point that he did the whole, we don't even have any evidence that he ever set foot on UVU campus. And then I was just showing the clips in the court where they're like, no, he was on campus, and he was on campus like 4 times actually that day. A person who lives 3 hours away, is not even a student at the school, but yet he was on campus 4 separate times in that day. Doesn't have an alibi for him to be anywhere else, though. Didn't even think about that, right? Like, it's whatever Candace says, and Candace is really good about, she'll put something out into the ether, and she'll present it like it is opinion or like a thought process that she's having, but then literally right away in the very next sentence, she says it as if it's a fact. She'll make a statement of fact, right? And then from there, her little minions are off and running. I mean, they're just, well, this is fact now. And they just declare it like that on the internet. I mean, they'll just declare, well, he was never seen on UVU campus. I'm like, actually, we don't have any evidence to support that he was, like, we actually have a lot of evidence to show that he was very much on UVU campus. What are you talking about? Or the 30-06 being an impossibility. Well, she's just made this statement, and so now it's true. And you know the pattern I'm talking about. Like, once people see it, I always say, like, you can't unsee it on how she presents things, and then immediately we'll talk about it as if it's a statement of fact. It's really, really frustrating, actually. It's no different than the most recent one that I got community noted for was when she did her live the other night, and she showed Charlie Kirk's MRN number on the screen live. Thousands of people saw it. Now, once the live stream was over, her team quickly went in and they edited it and they blurred it out, right? And then they posted it live. And then that live had the edited version. But anybody who was streaming it while she was live on air, they saw the full MRN number presented. And I clearly showed the screenshot of the before the edit and the after the edit. Community Note is still claiming that she showed it edited. And I'm like, stop gaslighting me. Like, we all know what we saw on our screen, for the love of God. Community Notes has just become a giant gaslighting session. It's so freaking infuriating. I'm like, no, she definitely showed it, and then they went in and edited it after the fact, bro. Like, Artie Trolls was live streaming it, and he has the original live stream where she showed it, plain as day, and they're still community noting him. I don't even know how they get this approved, because it's just wrong. They're just blatantly wrong. But they'll get these community notes that are approved that are just absolutely wrong. And I've told people, I'm like, at this point, you should not be believing or looking at community notes unless you are double and triple checking that these things are factual, because they are absolutely getting things put on as community notes that are absolutely blatant lies.
Yeah. I mean, what's the latest? The latest that I saw was the with what you're talking about was the rooftop. It's the exactly same thing where she does with the it's where she claimed that the crawling, Tyler Robinson crawling.
Oh gosh, was the lateral military crawl. And then everyone started posting the videos of the babies, and I was dying laughing. It was so funny.
Yeah, it's exactly that, It's trying to say, like, look here, this is this professional, military move. It's the same. It's the same as what you're saying, where Tyler Robinson would have to be Spider-Man to get onto the rooftop, and then you see the footage.
He's still making that claim, even though there's people who have literally been there who have shown that all you have to do is walk up a set of stairs and like step over a little fence kind of thing. That's it. That was all that was up there. Like, and she's still saying that he had to Spider-Man like off the side of the building, and like, no, you don't. You just walk up some stairs, bro. Like, what?
I don't know. How do you? I mean, because engaging with so much of this stuff, especially directly with people, I don't do it. I honestly, I block people who are just blatantly parroting this rubbish. Because it's just I can't be bothered. Every now and again, I might reply to. It's probably similar to why you do debates, where you can't convince the person that you're engaging with, but you're doing it for the other people that are observing, to show like, here, this is the arguments to be able to debunk this nonsense. Are you like, where are you? Because does this just black pill you to the state of things, or do you have some hope that that these people are pretty fringe and hopefully this trend is I don't know. I mean, like, what are your thoughts?
I do have hope, because I do get DMs. I have gotten private DMs from people that said, like, I was very much caught up in this. I believed her. I thought that she did want the truth. And, I now know that she doesn't actually want the truth. She actually actively blocks the truth because it would stop her from making money, right? It would stop the addiction. It would stop their entertainment. All of these candy cultures, they are full blown. These people are full blown addicted to this. This is like crack to them. And so, yeah, they actually don't want the truth to come out, because then their addiction would go away. Their daily soap opera would end, right? And so, I would say though that those who have been brave enough to be like, I was very into all of this. I was fully invested in it, and I am now have walked away from it, and I know that she's a liar, all of that. Like, I just try to give those people props and be like, I'm so glad that you were able to get out of it, because that's a very hard thing to do. It is really hard to look yourself in the mirror and admit that you were conned and admit that you were deceived, right? And that you it's just a hard thing. Like, human pride and arrogance, like, we already don't like to admit when we're wrong anyway. It's difficult to do, but it's really hard to admit that you were taken for a ride, like, fully. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I always try to just give those people encouragement instead of trying to turn them away, because they do kind of need a soft place to land when you've been like that kind of like manipulated and brainwashed, I feel like. So I do try to be like, I'm really glad that you saw the light. I'm really glad that you finally got out of it. And I try to give them that encouragement instead of like dunking on them. They're already beating themselves up. You know what I mean? We're always so much harder on ourselves than anybody else could be hard on us. And so they're already probably being really hard on themselves. So going in on them harder isn't going to really help anything. That's just going to harden them towards their position even more. Right. So I always try to give the ones who have turned away from it, I try to give them grace. The ones, and I have seen, and I also have hope, because I was on TikTok in the very beginning of this, where, I mean, I had candy cult videos coming up left, right, center, all over the place. There was a bunch of them that were all into this, and they were covering it all the time, and they were talking about it all the time. Those accounts have slowly dwindled and slowly just kind of disappeared, and those people just quietly have kind of moved their content into something else, and they just kind of just like disappeared. And so you're slowly seeing that it is like narrowing. There's a lot of people who've walked away from it, a lot of people, even some of them who will never admit that publicly, but they have walked away from it. I've seen it. So she is getting less and less. I mean, even her views are going down. She is getting less and less, especially after the probable cause hearing. She just got annihilated on that. So, I mean, there are people who are waking up. There are people who are turning away from this. But there are going to be those ones who are just going to hang on for dear life. I mean, that's why we call it a cult, right? Because you always think about, like, how the hell did Jim Jones get these people to follow him to Ghana and actually drink cyanide, right? But they did it. You think about
Yeah.
these people that, like, followed Charles Manson and ended up doing all of his bidding and ended up, like, torturing and killing people in these horrific ways, right? But, like, they did it. So there's going to be those hardcore staunch people who are never going to let it go because they are just fully indoctrinated into the cult, literally. Like, they're just
Yeah.
just
well,
there.
it's ideological is what it is. You know, it's it's the status quo that they've established. And so that's why, you know, when you challenge it, you're challenging their status quo, and they're unable to hear it. You know, they don't want to hear it because it's actively challenging the entire framework of how they see the world. And that's why the conspiracy theory thing, like, it is like a religion, you know. And you know, I posted a clip because Jerry Boring made the same point recently on his show, where it's this idea of that people would much rather think that Charlie Kirk was killed by some massive plot that's to do with, you know, the deep state and has ties internationally, and that it's all, you know, controlled, and that there's all these people involved and blah blah blah. They would much rather believe that than to think that just one radicalized guy in his early 20s was able to just climb up onto a roof and murder Charlie Kirk. That's far more scary, you know, because it means that the world is far more chaotic and that there isn't that level of control. And South Park made the same point with truthers with 9/11, you know, that people would much rather think that George W. Bush and the American government were the ones who actually planned 9/11 than to think that, you know, just a small group of Arabs, of, you know, Muslims were able to pull off something like that. That's terrifying. So they need to find a framework to you know, actually bring them comfort, and that's why they fall into these conspiracy theories. And yeah, I think that's absolutely true, and that's how we've arrived here, you know. But for me, my anger and frustration turns to the grifters who absolutely exploit this. You know, when I think of the Baron Colemans or even the Candace Owens, I don't think they believe half the shit that they put out there. I think they're fully aware of just how absolutely ridiculous this is, but they're just taking these people for a ride. And, you know, that's the thing that's really sad, and that's the thing that I think is very evil.
Yeah, I mean, and it's getting to the point now where the cult has gotten so, and this is where it'd be interesting to talk to somebody who's actually studied cult-like behavior and have them kind of, like, examine this, like, phenomenon that we're seeing with Candace and, like, her followers. Because in the beginning, I think we referred to it as a cult, like, jokingly in the beginning, but it, like, now they very much represent that. And if you look up the characteristics of a cult leader, Candace meets every single one of them to a T, actually. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, she actually does. It's actually terrifying. But now they're getting so insular. So the people who have fallen off and fallen away because of the ridiculousness, or finally waking up to see that it was a grift and it was all a lie, those people have kind of, the people who are willing to accept reality have fallen away, and now you're just kind of left with the last remaining people that I'm kind of like, if they haven't fallen away yet, they're not going to. I mean, these people are locked in and they're not going anywhere, and they have just become very insular, right? Which is where these cults actually, this is where they start to get dangerous, actually, because now if you begin to threaten the reality of these people and, like, where they're living, like, if you actually, like, present reality and that goes against the narrative that they believe, that's when these types of people actually get dangerous, right? That's like during the pretrial, like the probable cause stuff, and they're laying out all this evidence. I was like, this is the moment where some of these people could actually become radicalized, because you are shaking the foundation of everything that they have like staked their claims on, right? And that's when those types of people can get dangerous, actually, like violent and do really bad things. So I don't know, I feel like we are reaching the point where anybody who's still left standing with Candace, they are the ride or dies. Those are the people who are truly indoctrinated into her insanity. And those are the people, that's also why we're seeing where these people will risk everything. I mean, these people are risking their careers. They're throwing their life away to get information to this woman. I mean, these people are willing to break the law, go to jail. I mean, whoever it was that violated HIPAA to get her that information from the hospital, whoever this person was who, you know, got her that UVU footage, like these people are literally putting their entire life on the line just to get a tiny bit of information to Candace Owens. Like, it's absolutely insane. But that's why I mentioned Charles Manson. I said, you know, Charles Manson never actually physically killed anyone. He was able to manipulate everyone to do all of his dirty deeds for him so that he didn't actually have to physically do it himself, right? And that's kind of where I feel like Candace is like she's in her basement and she's like the puppet master, like controlling everything, and she never actually has to leave or do anything. These people are so delusional that they will literally throw their life away for 5 seconds of what they think is her attention. I mean, they are actively vying for her attention at all times, like fighting it out, battling it out with each other even, just to get like 5 seconds of her attention. It's wild to watch, actually.
Yeah, and yeah, it's like when you get into the realm of, you know, like was it ancient like Sumerian technology, time traveling, and her pushing that like Erica Kirk isn't human, that she's like a hybrid. Yeah, this kind of stuff. It's like you're
robot.
Yeah, you're engaging with people who are really mentally disturbed. And so when you're putting out this stuff that like Erica Kirk, you know, had her husband killed and things like that, it's inviting some really, really dangerous stuff. And that's where it's like I come back to this thing of like Candace Owens she's not someone to be taken seriously as a person. You know, she's a joke. But her influence isn't a joke. And it's her followers that, you know, there's the potential for them to do some really dangerous stuff. Also, it's just not good. It's just not a good thing to see how large her audience is, and to think there's that many people who are engaging with this kind of stuff. You know, I'll play this, but I know you gotta head off. I'll play this to show. You can head off if you want. I'll play this after, but it's showing where she's like preparing her audience for like the end of days. Apocalyptic
she's been getting into some crazy, like even like the religious part of stuff that she's been dabbling in. Her and George, I don't know if you saw it, but they've really been starting to dabble in this Christ consciousness stuff, which I actually am a Christian. I know some people like on our side are and some people aren't, but like the whole Christ consciousness thing it's new age. It's this belief that you can become divine. It's this belief that you can take on the characteristics of Christ to become basically your own God. That's what they believe. And I can't even believe that they allowed George to speak about this at a Catholic conference. Like, it's just so outside of Christianity. It is Gnosticism is what it is. Like, it's crazy. But the other thing I wanted to mention was, as not only am I seeing that they're becoming much more insular, because as the other people start to fall away and fall off, the people who are just like, this is crazy, you know, and now the true ride or dies are really staying there and they're staying put. I'm also seeing that they are becoming less and less willing to debate. In the beginning, when I first went into this, you guys saw some of those debates. They were much more open to the idea of, there was still like, most of them didn't really want any opposition to come and they wouldn't really talk to them. There was still only a handful that were open to like actually like having a conversation with people on the other side, but they were much more open to it then. As we've progressed in this thing, they are really like not wanting to do that. I've had multiple of them invite me on their shows, and I have like reciprocated, like responded to their DMs, and I've said, yeah, like I'll come on and talk about it, no problem. Like I'll pretty much talk to anybody. I'll talk to people that are opposition, that's totally fine, and then they just ghost me. They just don't respond. Like Danks was one of them. Danks and Real Bays, they wanted me to come on their show. They sent me a DM. I responded. It got nothing. It was just crickets. So they are like, they're becoming so insular that like they're not even debating any opposite opinions anymore. Like they've completely shut that down, like totally. Like they're just not doing it. Obviously, we've seen where Andrew Wilson, I mean, he's been putting tons of money out there being like $10,000, $30,000, like I'll pay anybody basically anything, just bring something to the table, and they absolutely will not do it. They refuse. So I mean, I've even seen on the debate side where they were much more open, you know, in the beginning of all of this, and now they have completely they will not even engage with that concept at all, which is crazy. So
well, I've been following Candace for a while, and she's been going off the deep end. I mean, since she left Daily Wire, it's been just a progression. It's actually shocking to go back and see videos after she left Daily Wire, how much she's really just, become more and more unhinged and just like completely untethered from reality. But like the Macron stuff's like really far out there. It's that whole like QAnon type thing where it's all satanic elites that control the world. And that ties into the whole Israel Jewish thing, Freemasons, all that area of things. Like it's, she's been just swimming in that for a while now. But it was really disturbing for me after Charlie Kirk died to see a lot of people taking her seriously. People who actually have, like real influence and somewhat kind of mainstream figures in the conservative movement. But I was so relieved when she introduced the Egyptian planes, because it was like, oh, thank goodness. Like, thank goodness we're back to this rubbish. Like this just like stuff that is just obviously on its face. Like reasonable people immediately know like this Egyptian planes thing, blah, blah. It's like, okay, we're no longer in a serious realm of like an actual investigation. So I was so relieved to see that, because it's like, okay. And over time, I think now we've arrived back at this place where Candace Owens is largely a joke. But anyway, you've been doing really, really great work exposing her. And it's your compassion as well for her followers is, it really speaks to your character. So I keep up the great work. Do you want to plug your socials or anything before you head off?
Yeah, so obviously on X, it's LisaKnows, and then let's see, Instagram, it's LisaKnows429, because LisaKnows was not available, so I had to add that on there. And then with TikTok, it's LisaKnows. So yeah, you guys can find those are the platforms that I use the most. Primarily X and TikTok are what I use like the most, and then I cross post over onto Instagram as well. So yeah, and you'll see me around on Gary's podcast every once in a while. I'll make an appearance over there, but and then I get quickly accused of being on his payroll as well, which I'm not, never have been, which is insane. But
yeah, there's a small group of people who are doing really good stuff. You and Gary Paramount Tactical and Jay Witt and Lady Luck Club.
I was on the show the other day.
Yeah, that was like really, really good stuff. Just like fact-based, going through, doing what the other side does, and we're actually looking at the legal documents and things like that. But anyway, thanks for coming on. I've just started doing this, so I'm looking forward to doing more. So I definitely want to have you back, and maybe do it like with Gary does, and have a few of you on here, and we
like
can unpack.
Panel. Yeah, no, that would be fun. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for having me on, and all of you guys like that support me, you guys that are in my comments all the time, battling out with the crazies. I appreciate you guys. I see you guys. some of the regulars, like, you know who you are, and you guys are the best. So thanks for all the support. It means the world to keep grinding out here with all the insanity, because there are times that it does get depressing. I'm not gonna lie. There are times that it gets really like the mental exhaustion it's insane. So, you know, you guys give us, you know, that encouragement to keep going, or sometimes somebody will just post like some funny meme in my comments, and that will just like make my whole day. So you guys are awesome, and I really appreciate your support. It absolutely means the world. And not because I'm making any money, by the way. I do this for free. And they'll be like, I can't believe you do this for free. And I'm like, yeah, no, I do. It's just because it's like the right thing to do. At the end of the day, it's just the right thing to do. And so, you know, I always say, like, if Candace Owens just stopped doing everything tomorrow, I would stop posting about her. Like, I would be done.
Yeah.
Please let her. I want her to stop. Like, let her be done. Please, for the love of God. If it all went away tomorrow, I would just go back to my life. Like, and now I have them posting that I want to be famous and all this. I'm like, no, I've never had any drive to be famous or any of those things. Like, yeah, I mean,
no, that's what people don't get. I don't actually, because you and other people do such a great job of covering this stuff. I actually don't watch her show that much anymore. I don't remember the last time I've watched a full episode.
I fall asleep every time I try, so I've pretty much given up. I pretty much just wait for all the clips to come out after, and then like I pull like the main things, and I'll go back and look at stuff if like I need to, but I can't do it anymore.
No, I get dread. You know, if I do start a show, because I just the level of her just lying and just like getting prepared for it, and it really it makes me feel sick that people tune in and this is like their entertainment. Like that. That to me is very like it just that fills me with darkness. So I'm very relieved that there's other people who are carrying the load. You know.
Yeah, we there's some friends of mine that like they watch every episode, and like they send me kind of like the highlights or I follow a couple of those accounts that will do like the recaps, and thank God for those people. That's such a blessing, because I'm like, dude, I can't do it. Like, I just can't stomach it. And not only that, she's boring. I don't know how people it is the same like reiteration. Every episode is like the exact same episode over. And want to talk about how Charlie Kirk's life was the Truman Show? Watching Candace Owens is the Truman Show. It's like Groundhog's Day. Every day we're just in hell, and we just do the same thing over and over and over again. It's not, I don't even know how people find that to be entertaining. Again, it's not even entertaining anymore. It's just sad at this point. Like, it's really, really sad that this is like exciting for people. I'm just like, okay, well, I have a soul, and I have to stand before God one day, and I'm just like not gonna do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right. Well, keep up the good work. I'll let you leave. But yeah, keep in touch.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your night.
All right. See you, Lisa. All right. Definitely follow Lisa on her platforms. She does really good work. And yeah, I mean they're like coming after her really hard. I've never received a community note on anything I've done. And her account, every time I see her account, it's filled with community notes, and for just rubbish, as we covered. Like literally them saying, you know, this is your pastor when it's not. That's not good. The community note function is actually one of the best things that Elon Musk has brought to Twitter. So it's sad to see that become weaponized, and hopefully they can do something about it. I'll play this doomsday, this clip from Candace Owens, showing how her show is becoming this death cult, seemingly. Let me just couple of super chats. Nate the lawyer, for your support, your amazing work. Thank you very much. And Lauren Turner, thank you very much, Lauren. But yeah, I'll start to wind this down. But Let me know guest ideas. You know, who you think would be good to have on. I want to mix it up, so I'll do a little bit of Candace, do a little bit of Tucker Carlson, and do some other things. But I really like the guest format. I'm not the idea of doing this alone. I'd like to get better at it because there's things that I'd like to cover in depth. But it's good to have guests. I like to have conversations. I do want to expand on the Daily Wire article that I wrote last week, which was covering alternative media's role in propping up Andrew Tate, and I believe actively hiding and lying about what the accusations were. As I said, that article could have easily been 10,000 words. Because I think that subject is one that's very, very important. And the closer we get to Andrew Tate and Tristan hopefully getting extradited and then hopefully going to trial in the UK, and hopefully, I believe, based on the evidence that's out there, I believe Andrew Tate is innocent. So hopefully that will end in a guilty verdict. I think the fallout from that should be that a lot of these people that propped up Andrew Tate, Candace Owens is maybe top of the pile, that these people need to be absolutely shamed and held to account for what they did. Let's hope that we get there. But yeah, so I think I might do a stream where I'll actually go through that and show these examples, these various characters and how they did that. Candace Owens is a big one, and it's quite interesting to show a lot of her techniques that she used even 3 years ago, that she's recycled them and she's still doing this today. Things like that we even saw just recently with the preliminary hearing, where she'll deliberately take things out of context. She cherry picks things, cuts out the parts that she doesn't want her audience to know so that she can sell a narrative that is not actually based in truth. This is, you know, it's mainly what I do, you know, talking with Lisa, these pernicious alternative media figures who are grifting. It's really, 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 I don't know. It's terrible. It's vile. You know, and profiting off Charlie Kirk's death is something that I think is absolutely atrocious. And hopefully, it's something that, you know, these characters become more and more fringe, they'll be called out. Anyway, let me play this. This is something that I put together. When was it? It was back in December. But this is where, you know, she'd be interspersed talking about Charlie Kirk and doing her investigation. But then, like, you know, peppered throughout would just be this stuff that's just like really, really dark stuff. And it feeds into this like QAnon type idea of, you know, this kind of satanic pedophilic elites, and this top-down conspiracy that's really dangerous. I think, you know, it's really dangerous for people who aren't happy in their life and feel like things that aren't going well, and that they channel it towards, you know, blaming it on other people and other things, instead of them actually looking at what they can control in their own lives. And figures like Candace Owens are absolutely profiting off them. I think it's very telling that Candace Owens was August last year. So we're talking about weeks before Charlie Kirk died, that Candace Owens was putting her hands out begging for money from her supporters to fund her Macron legal case. And then, you know, weeks later, Charlie Kirk died, and seemingly she doesn't need to do that, because I think she's made so much money that she feels pretty confident now that she can actually bankroll the Macron lawsuit. You know, she'll still, of course, shill for a tacky merchandise, but she's not doing it like she used to. And I think that's because she's had a massive windfall and made so much money off of her supposed friend's death. So, all right, let me play this. I'm going to start wrapping up. So If you've got any more questions or anything, I'm happy to cover that. But otherwise, I'll start to wrap this up. Anyway, so let's go to this. This is what I believe Candace Owens. I think this has all the makings of a death cult in her messaging. So let me play this.
Feel it now. I feel it now. I've been telling you guys, I have been having a lot of dreams, and the dread that Charlie felt in 2018, I have been feeling. I felt it leading up to Charlie's assassination. I pulled my children out of school. I was having this dreams and visions about bees and organization that was happening in America. I have a sense of dread that a lot of these events that are happening, these inexplicable events like the Malibu fires, these sort of coastal events, the Texas floods, that this is not happening by accident. Okay. I have a feeling of a sense of dread that the Fed is taking from Americans right now, and that we are heading toward war. Okay. I'm going to share that. I feel that we are headed toward war, that they want war by any means necessary, and that you need to be, wherever you are in the world, fully dialed into that. Okay. We can't be stupid this time. We cannot believe what the media is telling us. We cannot believe what the government are telling us. We cannot believe whatever it is, whatever attack that's going to happen, and we're going to be told that it was this guy. We have to start to recognize the pattern of things. Okay. The predictive model of this is my red line, then the red line gets crossed and people are denying it. And what happens? Christians are mass slaughtered every single time. Propagandize people, Christians in the East, to hate Christians in the West. And there's just less of us by the end of it. And these things tend to happen, world wars, when they want a reset, because people start waking up. And so I just wanted to express that to you, that I feel that we are reaching that brink right now. And you need to prepare for that. And feels like an almost inevitability, but it feels like something's coming. And I know that you probably sense that dread too. I pulled my children out of school. I was having this dreams and visions about bees. Also, I've been telling you guys about Beekeepers Natural, immune supporting substance that bees make to protect their hives. So head to beekeepersnaturals.com and enter code Candace at checkout.
Yeah, so this is this real just like doomsday. It's the end of the world, you know. And of course, the answer is to follow Candace Owens. I just think this is really disturbing stuff, and it's preying on, you know, it's preying on Christians, and yeah, I don't know. It's all pretty dark stuff. The one other one is that reminds me of this. I just want to play this one. This is a video I did. I did this back in October because the signs were already there with her when it came to the Charlie Kirk stuff. That she was telling people you can't trust anyone but her. So just feeding off this where we ended things with Lisa, it is this thing where this has turned into a cult, you know, because she literally tells people you can't trust anyone but her. You can't trust the FBI, you can't trust government, you can't trust the media, you can't, you know, and no one, least of all me, is telling anyone that you should blindly trust any of these things. But, you know, you should, of course, be skeptical, ask questions, demand answers, and verify everything. But you should also apply that equally to Candace Owens. And if you did, I think you'd find that she's, you know, far less trustworthy than all of these things. So let me play this because this is back in October last year, and I think where we've arrived here now with what people are believing and how far away they are from reality is incredibly telling. So let me play this. I'll get to any final questions and then I'll close up.
Yeah, you got to be just insane to trust the authorities. As soon as somebody says, we're just trusting the authorities, suspect on the list. What do you mean we're trusting the feds? Like, since when are we doing that? and trusting the feds. Don't question anything. I don't really trust these feds, right? I'm like, no, we don't trust the feds. And since when do we trust the feds? Trust us, we're the feds, bro. We don't trust the feds. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anything right now. Okay, I trust absolutely nothing. Mia writes, we need truth, and I trust only you right now. Thank you. Aravic writes, you're the only voice I fully trust. Trust me, trust me. Rose writes, no matter what videos I've seen from people on the left or right calling you crazy, I call it faking gay. You have my full support. Truth is all that matters, and Christ is king. Yeah, here is the thing. People know truth when they hear it, okay? You know truth when you see it. Charlie's neck indeed did stop the bullet, without question, okay? And this is going to dispel a lot of theories that are out there. And I'm telling you this 100%, Charlie Kirk was shot from the front and the bullet did not exit. Nothing is making sense at all. It has not made sense from the very beginning, okay? And that's because the feds are involved. I'm grateful that you guys trust me to be your voice. They didn't recover a bullet from a 30-06. Just didn't happen. He was shot with a completely different kind of gun, obviously. We can only trust the feds. Tell us what happened. Right. We can't trust them at all. I only have a platform because I keep telling the truth. You know, if I had lied, I wouldn't have earned your trust. There's old footage of Tyler Robinson that is now circulating from a car accident that he had. Tyler certainly refers to it as his car, not his vehicle.
As I get into the intersection, there was a vehicle in the lane.
So I say, just be transparent. I don't trust people that don't just release and speak about everything. There's a lot more information that I wish I could share. There is, of course, a specific reason why I'm asking for that. Be transparent. Be transparent. I think you should let me see that because people trust me. I'm not going to publish it. I just want to see it. I'm not going to publish the footage, but I want to see it with my own two eyes so I can stand on this platform, so I can sit here on this platform and I can say to the world, no funny business happened. Truly, we can all go home. It was Tyler Robinson and he acted alone. And I think the world would trust me. I think the world would trust me.
Yeah. So, there you go. That's back in October. It's actually kind of shocking to think how worse it's got. I'm going to play one more just because I got a couple of recent videos. I might as well play them because I've just put them out. But here's one that covers this. So this is Candace Owens, that was from the beginning, her talking about lack of transparency from the authorities investigating. But, it's amazing to me that her followers will go along with that and say, oh, there's no transparency from the authorities. She's the one who openly receives all sorts of tips and things and buries it and hides it for months and months and months in her pocket until, for whatever reason, whether her material's dried up or she needs some, she's starved for attention, she'll then pull it out and point to it. And her audience at no point says, well, hold on a second, why you've been sitting on that for so long? And others, even people from Turning Point USA, pointed out, Blake Neff pointed out, aren't you interested in Tyler Robinson being innocent and yet he's on trial? So you believe that he's innocent, yet you're sitting on this stuff that you believe could exonerate him for seemingly months on end. And you're not showing that. So what is it? Are you interested in the truth and the truth coming out? Are you interested in exonerating Tyler Robinson, or are you interested in just engagement farming and grifting? Here's this one. So I did this one just the other day on this exact topic. So this is where arguably Candace Owens' investigation. Let me first just address, because I'm just I'll get to a couple of these super chats. So first one from Juju, you need mods. Throw some. Yeah. Let me So this is my third stream. I do want to get some mods. because it's hard for me to actually be paying attention to what's going on at the comments. I try and keep a bit of an eye on it. But I'm seeing people over and over again say we need mods. So let me look into that. People reach out to me on my last post on YouTube. It's for this stream, so it's announcing it. Reply in the comments underneath that if you'd be interested to be a mod, and let me figure that out. Because I don't want this to be an echo chamber. But at the same time, I block people on my own comment section in Twitter because I want this to be a constructive space. So I don't want this to be an echo chamber. But at the same time, trolls and people who are here who are just trying to stir up trouble, I have no interest in that. So, if we can figure some way to be able to get rid of them, to make this into a productive space, then I'm all for that. So, comment in my last post on YouTube, which is the announcement for this stream with Lisa, and let me know if you're interested in being a mod, and let me try and figure that out and try and figure out how I actually want that to look for people who should be blocked and causing trouble. Here's this from March On. Hi Nathan, another Livingston here. No E. But I think I covered that last time. There's a story goes that one of my ancestors was so drunk, apparently he forgot how to spell our name and add an E at some point. So, but there you go. I'm Hispanic, but have that name through my grandfather. There you go. Hispanic Scott. He was from Milan, Missouri. You have a great show and do fantastic work. God bless. Thank you very, very much. MTX 485. Have you seen her talking about the gang getting back together, plus how she wants TPUSA to feel like they're suffocating in every room they walk into, and how she blames Erica for Charlie lying to her? Yeah, I remember getting the gang back together. I think, unless she said it before, that one she was talking to Russell Brand, and she was talking about after Charlie Kirk died. That it was this idea that it would be her and Kash Patel and TPUSA, that they'd be all joining together to try and figure out what happened. Which again is just stupid. Candace Owens isn't an investigative reporter. She adds absolutely nothing to this. And again, what we were touching on, Lisa and I, was this idea of there is a lot to admire about Charlie Kirk, and he was incredible at coalition building. But that came at the cost of him, in my mind, letting in a lot of snakes into this tent that he had built, and Candace Owens is absolutely one of them. And it seemed like after Charlie Kirk died, the TPUSA, that they followed the direction that Charlie Kirk had headed in dealing with Candace Owens. And so it felt like Charlie Kirk appeased Candace Owens, especially after the Daily Wire falling out. But to go by TPUSA, and I trust TPUSA, I don't think that they've lied like Candace Owens. It feels like that he had just kind of tried to maintain as much of a friendly, a friendly relationship with Candace Owens, but he was absolutely keeping her at bay. And even Andrew Colvert said recently that the turning point was when Candace Owens revealed that Charlie Kirk, in confidence, had reached out and had set up communications with her and Donald Trump and the Trump administration to try and ease up on the Macron stuff. And that was all told in confidence, and then she ended up airing that and using that for engagement. And that was last year. I mean, not that long before he died, a couple months beforehand. She didn't reveal that it was Charlie Kirk who was the middleman, but she revealed all of that private communication between her and Donald Trump. And so, you know, according to Andrew Colvert, that was the moment that Charlie Kirk was fully aware that there was no such thing as confidentiality between Candace Owens and him, which is, I mean, that's pretty incredible to think about, you know, how far she's taken that now, with her pretty much, you know, building an entire business model of farming off her private communication between her and Charlie Kirk, and exploiting that, you know, however she wants to be able to paint some narrative. You know, but my long way of saying is that it seemed that after Charlie Kirk died, the TPUSA was still trying to maintain a friendly relationship with her. And that's why Andrew Colvert was still on the phone to her after he immediately died. And it seemed like they were even, like, you know, bouncing information off her until they realized that she was absolutely psychopathic, and that she couldn't be trusted. So, yeah, I mean, anyway, so now we've ended up at this point. All right, let me play this here. So this is her. So I'd say that arguably this investigation that she's conducted, I say investigation in quote marks, you know, it's actually astounding how after 10 months she can come up with absolutely nothing whatsoever. And I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I have such respect for the fact that Charlie Kirk, someone who could build a massive organization like TPUSA, like huge, you know, and who could have such a public profile, and be married and have kids, and for someone like Candace Owens, who's just a complete and utter smear merchant, for her to like pop the bonnet on this guy's life and to literally like rummage around and to incentivize so many lunatics and people, even including people at TPUSA, to be able to feed her information, for her to open up this tip line. And so for it to get to like 10 months later and for her to turn up with nothing, like nothing at all, no scandals, you know, like Charlie Kirk, like there is nothing that TPUSA. She it really seemed like she was confident that she would find some sort of like financial things that were going on there that was wrong, or there would be something in their marriage or something with Erica Kirk. And this is a guy who seems like he was really like squeaky clean. There was nothing there, you know. He wasn't cheating on his wife. He wasn't doing anything. He wasn't funneling money from TPUSA. There really was nothing. I mean, that speaks a lot to that guy's character. It speaks a lot to him as a boss and him as a builder of this organization, and him as a husband and a father. You know, so I've got a lot of respect, a lot of respect for Charlie Kirk. The fact that, you know, I mean, who if they died and you had someone like Candace Owens combing, you know, through their life, couldn't turn up like something that is scandalous. But like Charlie Kirk, apparently not. Apparently that guy seemed to have been the real deal, you know, with his marriage and the organization that he built. So, you know, that really speaks to Charlie Kirk. But, you know, Candace Owens, the closest thing that she can put a hat on that she seems to have found, according to her, are these Egyptian planes that she really believed was gonna, you know, as she says, and you'll see, shake the foundations of the world. You know, well, let's show that. So she October 31st was when she unveiled these Egyptian planes. And now we're into August 2026. And, you know, after she released the data that she claimed to portray these Egyptian planes were following the Kirks and TPUSA. She was thoroughly debunked by I always struggle to pronounce the account's name, but Kanioke the Great, who's a big account that does a lot of investigative work, and he did a great job debunking them. We actually paid for to use this software to be able to access what she'd access, and to show that what she was trying to show was actually just complete nonsense. So as you'll see, that was in December. Since then, she's been promising over and over again to reveal this interactive timeline that shows this data for these Egyptian planes that she still references as as showing something. But yeah, so this is someone who over and over again, Candace Owens, has said she demands transparency, demands transparency, and yet the closest thing that she has to a smoking gun for her, which is meant to portray some massive global conspiracy, she herself is unwilling to actually show the data. So let me show this, and then I think I'll wrap things up. So here we go.
And on the day of Charlie Kirk's assassination, an Egyptian Air Force plane took off from Provo, Utah airport. They said, oh, she made a time zone mistake, like as if I'm on flight radar every day, accustomed to reading the data here. And tomorrow we will have revelations about the Egyptian plane. When I tell you on Wednesday what we discovered about those Egyptian military planes, I think some more people are going to be on the run. I saw some of you guys asking about the Egyptian planes. Yep, we have that for you. We're in for a week. Tomorrow, we're going to talk a bit more about the planes. The thing about the Egyptian plane is so explosive. Like I said to you, I had to try to get this to the right people in government, and those individuals asked me to wait until this weekend, is because this is the first time that we have the advantage. I don't know what to say other than it's positively explosive. That's all I can say to you. I'm telling you this information has been completely verified. I am showing you this on a spreadsheet now. There is less than a 0.000000001% probability, okay, under random distribution models, that these Egyptian planes coincidentally landed around Erica at these times. Because I realized that when we shared that spreadsheet, people assumed that one of the columns, which was actually saying where the planes landed on that day, because it was plus or minus 3 days, was exactly where Erica had been on that day, and that was inaccurate. And so for clarity, I had been working on the last week on turning it into an interactive timeline that we can put up on our website. Put this up on the website when we drop all of the Egyptian plane logs. That document we still have for you, which is coming forward. We will be proven correct on that. I'm going to save that again for when we go through the Egyptian plane. I know you don't even know this plane. This is when we get to the Egyptian planes here. Again, we will show you all of that. I've been very meticulous about this Egyptian plane spreadsheet, and this is locking in. I have had this sinking suspicion that when you look at the planes, it's plausible that they're being used by Israel, actually, to shuttle VIPs during points of military inflection. Again, this is my opinion. No one knows these planes better than I do. Why we were asking for those flight logs was because it landed at the same time as our Egyptian planes in Nebraska. Omaha, Nebraska, one of our Egyptian plane stops. Yes, that Duncan Aviation with the mysterious transponding Egyptian planes. Omaha, Nebraska just keeps coming up. It really does, right? Whether we're talking about the Egyptian planes, I'm not hiding anything. I'm saying share more. Daylight is the best disinfectant. Again, we will show you all that. I've been very meticulous about this Egyptian plane spreadsheet.
273 days later. And this smoking gun evidence, the Egyptian planes that she still uses, she still refers to, as you saw. So she's still, she's still standing by it. These Egyptian planes is proof of this, worldwide conspiracy. 273 days later, she still won't provide the data because, I think any reasonable person at this point in time knows that if she does, then, she'll be thoroughly debunked once again. So, yeah. All right. Well, that's where we're at with things. Well, thank you, everyone who's tuned in. yeah, so go to my last post if you're interested in being a mod. Then we can discuss that and figure that out for the last time. But this is great. This is the third live stream, so I'm still trying to figure out all the kinks and make it all run smooth. But I'm enjoying being able to interact with all you guys, and it's great to have guests. And it'll be good to be able to just expand on the format, to dig into things more deeply. So yeah, this is great. So I'm going to stick with the Monday time for now. It seems to be working. And as I said at the start, I'd like to do another. I'll do another stream as well, covering the latest Tate stuff. I saw someone ask about the lawyer, Tate's lawyers, McBride threatening Marco Rubio's son. It'll be good to dig into all that stuff. I mean, that guy is such a clown. The Tate brothers being arrested and this massive spotlight that's been put on them because of that. I'm so thankful that the world is being introduced to that complete knucklehead of a lawyer. And the guy's hilarious. I mean, he's such a joke. So that's definitely one of the positives about the Tates being arrested lately. And there's so much material. So we can cover all of that. So let me figure out. I'll get onto Crayon Murders and Gadget, who are also being sued in the same lawsuit. And we can figure out a time to do that. There'll be a separate live stream. And then if people have questions, all the super chats can go towards our fundraiser for that. Yeah, I've got my pinned comment on YouTube is for the fundraiser. So if you want to contribute to that, we need to raise about $7,000 to cover our ongoing legal costs. And that's all leading up to September 18th when we've got our hearing. And we're very confident that will be dismissed again for the second time, but hopefully for the final time. We've got March on. It seems like she believes her own lies, in my honest opinion. This makes her dangerous as she recycles her claims and seems to make statements of facts. I can't watch her either. I have to watch my blood pressure. Scary. I think if you have experience with compulsive liars, they do believe their lies, and you certainly see that when they're challenged. But at the same time, she's conscious that she's lying. You see that where she'll deliberately edit out the things that are inconvenient to what she's trying to spin. And that tells me that she's conscious of the fact that she's lying, or at least that it needs to support, whatever she's trying to lie, But when you see that with Tyler Robinson, with that footage from the accident years ago, the body cam footage, and Candace Owens is playing that. This is early days. Candace Owens is playing that to audience, where it's still with this narrative that the Discord chats, I think it was, where he said vehicle, and she's claiming no 20-something-year-old would say vehicle. That's proof that it was written by the feds or AI or some whatever rubbish it was that she was trying to spin. That footage then came out of this body cam of Tyler Robinson from years ago at an accident, and she points to that and says, look, Tyler Robinson in this footage, he says car, he doesn't say vehicle. But yet, you then go and watch the full thing, and we're talking about like 7 minutes. 7 minutes of footage. It's not long. It's literally like 2 minutes after the clip that she plays. He then says vehicle. So again, this is the thing where it's, I personally believe, after covering her for years, that she just edited that out. She saw it and she was like, we can't use this because it contradicts our narrative. So let's just edit it out. So it's either that as the explanation, or it's that she's literally just like so lazy and incompetent as a investigator that she missed that, just a couple minutes after the clip that she showed, he actually said vehicle and contradicted what she said. Either way, she's a liar or she's completely incompetent. But either way, she's not someone who should have any credibility whatsoever. America First, NZ, $5, my bro. Thank you everyone who's been so supportive. I can see you all commenting about issues with the chat and needing mods, so I'll look into that. I'll follow that up and try and figure that out for next time. But otherwise, thank you everyone. Please drop suggestions on my YouTube post for guests that you'd like to have, and even maybe potentially topics. Actually, do you want go to my link tree's updated? So my email is themilkbartv@gmail.com. But you can find that in my link tree that has all my platforms. But email me with tips or feedback, any suggestions. So themilkbartv@gmail.com is where you can reach me there. But yeah, all right. Thank you everyone who's joined. I hope you enjoyed the conversation with LisaKnows. Definitely go and follow her on all her platforms. She's doing great work. As she said, it's like she's definitely not making a living off it. She's doing it because it's the right thing to do. Something that's very foreign to Candace Owens and all of those slimy grifters on her side of things. But yeah, LisaKnows deserves your support. But otherwise, yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. Check back in. There'll be plenty more videos this week on the MilkBarTV accounts and MilkBarTV channel. But otherwise, I'll see you next week. Cheers, guys. All right. Bye.
What about his burial? How come we haven't seen anything about his burial? And the reason that's like a big hush-hush secret is because he is buried in a Catholic cemetery.
Repeatedly questioned why we weren't being told where Charlie Kirk is buried, or even if he has been buried yet. Did you get those answers?
You have the wrong commentator who questioned that.
You've never asked where Charlie's buried?
Nope. Did you bury him? Do you think that they cremated Charlie? I ask myself that question. But you'll actually notice apparently any questions surrounding the burial elicits this sort of a strong emotion.
Disturbing part that people are trying to guess where Charlie is.
Why is that disturbing?
Can I have one thing? Can I have one thing? Can my children have one thing?
Seems a little weird to me. A little sus, a little over the top. I would just answer the question. I'd say, yes, he was cremated, or no, he was not cremated.
You've never asked where Charlie's buried?
Nope. He is buried in a Catholic cemetery. Did you bury him? Can we get a yes or no? Is he cremated?